She was destined to die as a villainess, betrayed, powerless, and forgotten. But reborn with memories of her tragic end, she makes one choice that changes everything. This time, instead of begging for mercy, Corellia is stepmother of her picks up a sword. She's named Lysis. Man said, "What's with that villainess showing up at a ball? Did you hear? She bullies her maids so much they run away in the middle of the night. Forced into an engagement by a woman like her, poor second prince." Lysis, known to the public as a notorious villainess, the eldest daughter of a marquis family who indulges in cruelty and luxury. But the truth was different. In the first life, Corellia came near, picked up the stick and said, "Aaron, you really are a useless child. What do you think your father would say if he knew?" Aaron, see. She found out. Corellia clenched her shoulder and said, "A lady must always maintain perfect posture and a noble expression, no matter the situation." Aaron said, "How should you do it?" Corellia said, "Yes. At least now you're wearing a useful expression. Stupid and pathetic thing." Aaron thinks without anyone knowing, abused by stepmother. Was it really because I was dull and pathetic, just like she said? Man said, "Lady Aaron, you must tell the Marquis what the madam has been doing." "My lady, please run away, now, I couldn't protect anyone." "Have you eaten? I noticed you hadn't touched your food." Aaron thinks even though he must have hated being forced to marry me, my fiancé was always kind to me until the very end. Even my fiancé. Man said, "The second prince died because of you. Because he was engaged to you. Everyone else who died, it was all your fault. They died because they stayed by your side. Truly worthless." Aaron replied, "Because of me, everyone." Man said, "The madam told me to give you this message. Don't worry. Your family will be joining you soon." Aaron thinks, and that was how I was killed. In the second life one day a man said, "One iced Americano, please." Aaron replied, "Yes, order 325, one iced Americano." She thinks to my surprise that wasn't the end of my life. I was reborn as a modern-day South Korean, carrying the memories of Lysis, and given a second life. But my second life wasn't much different from my first. My parents found me bothersome and mostly left me alone, and I, in turn, kept my distance from them. And so my life led to a third life after yet another reincarnation. I was reborn into a knight's family, lived as a genius swordsman, and reached the rank of sword master. I still don't know why my life keeps repeating. All I knew was that no matter how I died, I was always reborn with my past lives' memories intact. But this time was different. Damn it, why are monsters suddenly? Soldier fighting the monster she see and thinks tch, too late. She came near and clenched the sword and put it in his stomach. Soldier see and said, "Yes, Lady Aaron." Aaron said, "There are still stragglers left, go help the other knights." Soldier gasped in fear and said, "Why yes?" UHP. She thinks. Lysis, the foolish girl who couldn't protect anyone, who was abused by her stepmother and murdered in her first life, has now returned with the memories of a sword master. I don't know why I've returned as Lysis again, but this time I will never live that life again. Athens Academy, the only academy in the empire, attended not only by talented commoners and nobles, but also by royalty from other nations and even the imperial family, a truly elite institution, and to this place, Lysis has arrived. She thinks, seeing it like this now, it's finally sinking in that I've returned. A few days ago, I returned to the past. At first, I didn't realize I had returned as Lysis. Girls said, "Lady Aaron? If you're scared, hide behind me. I'll protect you." Aaron thinks, Sarah? How can Sarah be here? I know for a fact she died. Wait, did she just call me Lady Aaron? Then, based on the situation around me and my past experience with reincarnation, I was able to grasp that something strange had happened to me once again. I had returned as the 20-year-old Lysis. "Look," a man said to the girl, "it's Lysis. Her carriage is so extravagant. And look at that dress. You'd think she was going to a ball." Girl replied, "I heard she transferred to the night division to follow the second prince. I really don't want to be in the same class as her." Sarah said, my lady, are you really going to be alright? Aaron thinks people have always disliked me, but the academy students around this time despise me even more. The first reason is because I, who knows nothing about the sword, transferred to the Knight Division. And the second is because I'm engaged to the second prince of the empire, Ferdin. It wasn't my choice, but everyone believes the engagement only happened because I insisted on it. Girl taking one said I heard she threatened to kill herself if they didn't let her get engaged to the second prince. And they say she transferred to the Knight Division just to be by his side. Another said, what did the other students do to deserve this? Girl said, and you're the biggest victim in all this is Lady Ashili, having her lover stolen by a villainess the likes of which we've never seen. Aaron thinks she disdained the honor of a knight, shattered the bond between two lovers, and seized the title of the second prince's fiancé. Of course they'd hate me. Aaron said, Sarah, don't worry about me. You should return to the Marquis' estate now. Sarah said, are you sure you'll be alright on your own? Aaron replied, yes. I'm fine. Aaron goes away and thinks the rumors people believe about me were all fabricated by my stepmother. But I won't reveal this truth to anyone. In this past, Sarah said, my lady, you have to get away. She thinks because I already know what happens when I speak up. That's why I have to do this all on my own. This is my burden to bear. My academy uniform, it's been a while. My stepmother whipped me right up until the moment I left for the academy. The faint aches I feel all over my body are the proof. It must be the handiwork of Corellia, my stepmother. Why did she beat me so viciously? Especially since she was going to kill me anyway. Corellia said, the madam said to tell you. Don't you worry. Your family will be joining you soon. She thinks her last words bother me, and with good reason. Our family has a long and storied history of producing knights for the empire. My father never became a sword master, but he was a high-ranking knight. And my younger brother, Karen, was learning swordsmanship to carry on the family legacy. Yet before I died, that same family was driven to the brink of ruin, all because of a single person. I didn't understand it back then, but now, I think I do. There must have been someone backing her. But who? Did someone come to see me back then, too? Aaron said, She thinks I remember now. Karen Lysis, Aaron's younger brother. Karen said, are you out of your mind? What are you thinking? You can barely even walk without needing a carriage. How are you going to handle the training? Aaron thinks his temper hasn't changed a bit. Right, we had this same argument back then, too. Karen said, did you really have to transfer to the Knight Division? Everyone already hates you. Did you really have to transfer to the Knight Division? And make your situation even worse? Everyone hates you anyway, so did you have to make this situation worse? Aaron thinks Karen had every right to be angry. Karen was also a student in the swordsmanship department, who dreamed of becoming a knight. He must have felt insulted by my past. So at that moment, Karen said I was so embarrassed. Aaron thinks he must have been angry. Even now, it's the same. How did we end up like this? Aaron said, sister. Aaron thinks we were pretty close when we were kids. Aaron said, you used to follow me around everywhere. Karen said, I don't know what you're thinking, but you can't meet the second prince, no matter how hard you try. Aaron said, the second prince? Karen said, right, the second prince is in the advanced class and you're in the beginners. How could you meet if you're in different classes? Everyone is gathered today for the swordsmanship evaluation, but that's just for today. So give up and go back to your original class. Why didn't you say you were hurt? Aaron turned and said, if you're done talking, can you leave? Karen replied, what? Aaron replied, because I have class. The swordsmanship department of Athens Academy. People called this place the Empire's last stronghold. It's a place that trains knights to defend the front lines from the ever-growing monsters. In fact, the advanced class also gets dispatched to subjugate monsters. Ferdin was dispatched on a mission by order of the Emperor. Boy said to another boy in this class, she actually showed up? She's amazing in a lot of ways. I wonder if she can even hold a sword with that arm? Aaron thinks, and he never, ever returned. But then, in the past he said, have you eaten? It seems you haven't touched your food. Aaron thinks he's alive. Derek said, no matter what I think, Duke Lysis' demand is just ridiculous. Duke Lysis, he's the head of the Lysis family, one of the 5 families protecting the front lines of the monster blockade. Although he never became a sword master, his abilities from protecting the front lines for so long are worthy of high praise. Even so, he recently made a big mistake. It wasn't enough to use his prestige to get his daughter into the swordsmanship department. He even pushed for an engagement with the second prince of the empire. The person engaged to that villain is so carefree. Oh my, what vulgarity! Derek said, Ferdin, this is truly unbelievable. Didn't you hear the Duchess crying as she spoke? In this book, Duke Lysis teaches, Aaron's mother blessed of God, please save my daughter. Aaron says she'll kill herself if she can't get engaged to Prince Ferdin. They say Aaron Lysis used blackmailing. That woman has only ever been a hindrance to your path and will continue to be. Her love for you? She just wants the title of the second prince's fiancé. Ferdin, I don't want to see you die. Derek said, no matter how brilliant you are, as long as the emperor favors the first prince, the succession to the throne may never come to you. You must build your strength, even more than now. What we need is a knight who can be a source of strength right now. Although Karen's talent is excellent, Duke Ashili is the strongest sword master in the empire. So once again, the daughter of Ashili, I'm talking, Ferdin, why do you keep getting distracted? Just what on earth are you, Ferdindo, said Derek. I don't believe in rumors. I only believe what I see for myself. It's been a while. Aaron thinks my heart stirs. Even after living 3 lives, he's the one I could never forget. What should I say to him? No, am I even allowed to speak to him? The second prince died because of you. He died because he was by your side. Swordsmanship students. Man said, welcome to the training grounds for your swordsmanship evaluation. My name is Edward Flan. I am the instructor in charge of the beginner class in swordsmanship. As you've been told, on the first day of the term, we usually begin with a swordsmanship evaluation. This is the only opportunity for the beginner class to watch the swordsmanship of the advanced class, so observe carefully. Now, after explaining the main instructions, we will immediately begin the swordsmanship evaluation. Aaron thinks a swordsmanship evaluation. How was I back then? Boy laughing, ha ha ha. It's so heavy you can't even lift the sword. Aaron thinks, pathetic. But I had no choice but to keep trying, because I wanted to learn swordsmanship no matter what. Ever since I was little, I wanted to learn swordsmanship. But Aaron thinks in the past her mother said spying again? I told you, ladies don't learn things like swordsmanship. I was blocked at every turn. So when I transferred to the swordsmanship department, I was overjoyed. Though that joy didn't last long. Because, Aaron said, do you think glaring like that will change anything? Philip. Aaron thinks because this narrow-minded guy relentlessly tormented me. Philip said, humph. Don't you dare speak my name so casually, Aaron Resius. Even if there are regulations, I'm royalty of the kingdom of Edwin, and you're a noble of the empire. Aaron thinks he must really hate having his name called by me. The first emperor of Lexia established a rule within the academy that, aside from royalty, one's social status should not be considered. In other words, it meant that royalty and commoners could speak comfortably without issue. Philip said, more importantly, want me to tell you what's going to happen to you from here on? How much disgrace someone like you, who can't even become a knight, Aaron said, how much disgrace you'll suffer. Even if you say that, I'm not afraid, Philip. He said, what? Edward said, alright, that's enough explanation. From here on, we'll begin the swordsmanship evaluation. Aaron Resius, step forward and show your sword form. Aaron said yes. Watch from there and decide for yourself whether I'm truly a knight or not. Aaron thinks, heavy as expected. With my current physical condition, just lifting it makes me tremble. Philip said, look at those shaking hands. She thinks my hands are going to blister again. Aaron clenched the sword and persisted. Aaron thinks every person has mana in their lower abdomen, Dangian. Of course, I have mana too, about the same amount as an ordinary person. The difference between ordinary people and me is, I've lived as a sword master before, so I know how to wield mana. Philip thinks, what's this? The trembling stopped. How? Aaron thinks a long time ago, Father called Karen and me over to tell us about our family's lineage. Duke said in our family, there's a legacy that's been passed down for generations. Every 2 or 3 generations, a descendant is born with the qualities of a master. Then one of you will possess that talent. Aaron thinks Father never did become a sword master. Karen didn't become a sword master either. So the one chosen by the sword is me. Philip said, who? Aaron replied, ah. Aaron said, if you're done talking, could you leave? Karen said, what? Aaron said, I have class. Karen said, damn it. He thinks I worry about her, and she just kicks me out. And what did you do to hurt your hand again? I heard you ran into a pack of monsters on the way here. Did you get hurt there? By now, the swordsmanship evaluation should be over. Karen said different classes have different schedules. Philip said, hey, did you hear about Aaron Lysis? What about her? I heard it from the advanced class that just finished their swordsmanship evaluation. Well, apparently Aaron Lysis. Karen said, hey. Karen said that story. Let me hear it too. Edward said, good work, everyone, on finishing the swordsmanship evaluations. Good work, everyone, on finishing the swordsmanship evaluations. That's it for class. Dismissed. Philip said, Aaron Lysis. I owe you a sincere apology. Lift your head. What's with you? Everyone's staring. No. I'm not ashamed to bow my head to you. The way you wielded your blade, more knightly than anyone else. The one who failed to act like a true knight was me. I let petty prejudice cloud my judgment. I finally realized just how meaningless rumors really are. Please, accept my apology. I'd like for us to get along from here on out. Aaron thinks I'm a bit taken aback, but I suppose it makes sense. Things have changed from how he used to be. Even the way some of the other students look at me now, it's different from before. Which means, perhaps Ferdindo's fate will change as well. Perhaps Ferdindo's fate will change as well. Aaron said, I'll accept your apology. I have things to do, so I'll take my leave. Ferdindo came and she said, Sir Ferdindo, I'd like to speak with you alone. Could you spare me a moment? Thank you for making the time, Sir Ferdindo. The reason I asked to see you is because Ferdindo said I have all the time you need. But when we're done talking, you really should head to the infirmary. Aaron thinks Ferdindo is kind to everyone, fair to all, and blessed with a gentle, compassionate nature. That must be why he treats me so well, too. Even though he must resent being forced into an engagement with me, Aaron said, Sir Ferdindo, you've received orders from the Emperor to subjugate the monsters, correct? Ferdindo said, how did you? Did you hear it from Sir Karen? Aaron said, I also know my name is listed on the subjugation team roster. The reason I called you here today was to ask you not to do anything for my sake. Derek said you all got the roster too, right? The monster subjugation list. Meanwhile, in Ferdindo's office, as you all know, the monster subjugation is one of the regular events held by our academy. The roster is usually chosen from the top 5 in each class of the swordsmanship and magic faculties, and the team is formed alongside senior knights with field experience. Aaron said, and for this subjugation, you've been chosen, along with Ferdindo and myself. Aman Heder, swordsmanship faculty, advanced class. Lilia, magic faculty, advanced class. Aman said, well, regardless of the selection, why are you talking like you're the leader instead of Ferdindo? Is this insubordination? Ferdindo said, it's not like that. Insubordination, my foot. I was just making the announcement before Ferdindo arrived. Aman said, still, your devotion to your lord is impressive. Ferdindo said, I'd prefer you call it loyalty. Unbelievable. I didn't hear all the details myself. Man said, but Aaron Lysis. And no. Your sister. They say she executed the Lysis-style sword form flawlessly. Karen thinks that's impossible. She's never formally learned swordsmanship. How could she master our family's form? I've caught her sneaking peeks at my training and imitating in secret before, but she stopped doing that ages ago. So how? Derek said there was an unexpected name on this list. Aaron Lysis. The Marquis will be pleased, siblings, side by side, taking part in such a prestigious monster's subjugation. Karen replied, my sister's participation is absurd. She only transferred into the swordsmanship faculty recently, and these subjugations are reserved for top scorers. You were in class today. What did you think of Aaron Lysis? Derek said you should have been there yourself, you know. Ahem. Anyway, I never thought I'd say this, but her sword form was flawless. Karen said NGH. Still, no matter how good she was, I absolutely refused to take my sister on a monster subjugation. Karen, why? And he thinks what's with him all of a sudden. They never seemed that way. Corellia laughing ahahaha. She said what a touching show of sibling affection. I had a brother like that once. But now, I'll never see him again. Because of you, Corellia said, but now I can never see him again. It's because of your sister, Karen. Karen said that's enough, Corellia. That rumor, Corellia said, a rumor? Are you telling me that the story about your sister killing my brother is just a rumor? If it were really a rumor, then why does everyone believe it to be true? Corellia said, I don't care if your sister goes on the monster hunt or not. But if she comes with us, don't expect any cooperation from me. It takes a great deal of mental effort to make sure my magic doesn't accidentally hit her. Philip said, Ferdindo. You came quicker than I thought? Philip thinks Aaron Lysis must have been acting up. Ferdindo said, what did Aaron Lysis say? Sarah said, Sir Ferdindo, you received a monster hunt order from His Majesty the Emperor. I will be going on the monster hunt anyway. No, I want to go. So there's no need for you to say anything about that order. Sarah said, the reason I called for you today was to ask you to not do anything for me. Ferdindo said, it looks like Sir Aaron will also be joining this monster hunt. Sarah said, phew. I haven't done much, but I'm tired. Aaron thinks in my past life and in this one, it's a foregone conclusion that I will participate in the monster hunt, because it's an imperial decree. King said, didn't the Lysis family go out of their way to transfer their daughter to the swordsmanship department? She must have the skills for it. Ferdindo said, but Your Majesty. In his past life, Ferdindo protested to the Emperor, but King said, are you defying my order? He was ignored. In the end, the hunting party, including me, set off, and there, Karen lost an arm, and Ferdindo lost his former lover, Princess Ashili, because he chose to save me over Princess Ashili. Because of that, Ferdindo had to face the wrath of Duke Ashili, and Ferdindo's position began to weaken in earnest. Aaron thinks, of course, in this life, these things will never happen. The hunting party will depart 1 month from now. Oh no, it's acting up again. Until then, I should increase my stamina and mana core as much as possible. Aaron said, see Karen? Karen said, you. And he shouts, why are your hands worse than before? You're going on the monster hunt, are you crazy? What's with you using the family sword technique during the swordsmanship evaluation? Aaron thinks is what I want to say, but... Karen said, I heard you're participating in the monster hunt. Don't you know what that means? It means you could die. Aaron said, I know. But it's an imperial decree, and it's not something Sir Ferdindo can stop. I'm going to go. Karen said, how can you be so calm about this? Do you not know what a monster hunt means? Or do you have no sense of reality? Corellia is aiming for you to get revenge for her brother. Not only that, you'll be with people who don't think highly of you, and you still say you'll go. Aaron replied, yeah. Aaron thinks 1 month later, the day the monster hunting party departs. Corellia's older brother was my former attendant. I am Calypso, your new attendant from today. Aaron thinks, but it wasn't long before he died, and at the sight of her brother's cold body, an enraged Corellia devoted herself to magic training to avenge her brother. He thinks, no matter how I think about it, this combination is just too strange. Karen said, we've been riding for a long time, aren't you sore? Wait, since when did you even know how to ride a horse? Aaron thinks it's weird enough that those two seem close. Karen said, but what have you been doing behind my back? She thinks I can't ignore Lilia's silence either. because I know exactly what that smile of hers means. Right before we left earlier, I thought something was about to happen. Thankfully, Lilia stepped back at the last moment. And on top of that, Lady Ashili is coming along too. This is turning into some kind of soap opera. Derek said, "Ha, this monster subjugation mission isn't going to be easy in more ways than one." Ferdinando said, "I've been concerned about it too." Derek said, "Ferdinando, when this subjugation is over, you really need to seriously reconsider your engagement. We who are loyal to you will, once you graduate from the academy, officially become your knights. When that time comes, the first prince will have built up his own forces to oppose you." Derek said, "The prince has His Majesty the Emperor behind him. From the start you'll be at a disadvantage, and if you keep Aaron Lysis at your side, you'll be forced to spend all your time preventing internal division rather than fighting." Ferdinando said, "Derek, have you ever actually seen Sir Aaron cause trouble?" Derek replied, "What?" "Well, of course, Derek thinks you mean that young lady? The villainess from the Marquis Lysis household. I almost feel bad for the Marquis. To have all the prestige he's built up ruined because of one daughter. At least he has more than one child." He said, "No, I've never seen it myself. There's a clearing ahead. We'll make camp here for tonight." Ferdinand said, "Derek, if her so-called past turned out to be a lie, who would compensate for that?" Derek said, "That's too much of a leap. And besides, don't say things like that in front of Lilia. Karen thinks you're cooking? Someone who's only ever had ladies' etiquette lessons." Aaron gave the cup and said, "Here." Karen said, Thanks, he thinks, and it's even delicious. I really don't understand you anymore. My sister from my childhood, you used to be like a flower. Like no one hates flowers, I never once thought I'd come to dislike you. Until a few years later, before we grew apart." Karen said, "Sis, are you going to meet your new stepmother? Have you two already gotten close? Please spare some time for me, too." Errol said, "Sorry. I'm a bit late." Karen said, "See, I'll be going." Karen thinks after that, "I kept trying to get closer to you, but I could never seem to close the distance." Karen said, "Sis," she said, "Karen, why are you crying?" Karen replied, "Stepmother, Sis has changed so much. I don't know why she suddenly changed like that. Even the servants are talking badly about her." Errol said, "Seems Aaron has had a change of heart. How about keeping your distance for now? Until Aaron returns to her old self. Don't worry, I'll cherish Aaron in the meantime." Karen replied, "Yes." At this time Karen said, "How's life in the swordsmanship faculty?" Errol replied, "It's fine. Isn't it hard to keep up with the classes?" "Not really, I see." Karen said, "What? Why are you suddenly smiling?" Errol replied, "No reason. Just thinking about how long it's been since we sat like this, and how weird it feels for you to call me sis." Karen shouts, What's the big deal about that? I'm just calling you what you are, sis. Guess the food's going down alright, huh? Laughing so casually in front of the one who tried to kill Lilia. Are you oblivious? Or do you just not care? Karen said, "Is the food going down your throat just fine? Laughing and chatting in front of Lilia when you're her killer. Are you clueless? Or do you just not care? Don't pick a fight, Sir Amon. They say you shouldn't bother even a dog when it's eating. Are you worse than a dog, Sir Amon?" Amon said, "That's enough." Karen then took out a sword and said, "Even for you." Ferdinando said, "Stop." Amon said, "Ferdin, you're not taking that woman's side right now, are you?" Errol thinks this isn't good. Everyone's looking this way. If Sir Ferdin is seen publicly defending me, Amon said, "What's going on?" She thinks it'll put me in a difficult position. Errol said, "I heard Sir Amon was a genius swordsman. Was that just an empty rumor? Seeing how all you have is a sharp tongue." Ferdinand said, "Do you have a death wish? If that's what you want, I can kill you right now." Ashel said, "That's not allowed. A duel is not allowed." Amon said, lady. Erla thinks a being who loved by everyone, frequently sick due to overflowing divine power, yet still never absent from subjugating monsters, even with such a body, Sir Ferdinand's former lover, the saintess of the Lexia Empire, Lady Ashili. Amon said, "My lady, why did you come out in such cold weather? Ashel replied, I came out because it seemed there was some commotion. Hello, Lady Lysis. We've passed by each other a few times, but this is our first real meeting, isn't it? Errol said, It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time, my lady. She thinks the lady didn't attend the engagement ceremony. I never greeted Lady Ashili like this in my past life either. Before the monsters appeared, she never left her carriage, and she died early. She's staring too much. She must not be pleased with me, since I got engaged to her former lover. Errol said, my lady? Ashel replied, Lady Lysis, you're an interesting person, aren't you? She thinks just now. Her eyes seem to sparkle. Ashel said, Sir Aman, on second thought, I suppose a duel would be fine, but I'll be the only one observing. Karen said, huh? Ashel said, that's fine, isn't it? Errol thinks, does she want to take revenge through Sir Aman? Errol said, if it is my lady's wish, I have no objections. Ashel said, excellent. Then let's go. Both said, what? Ashel said, we'll keep the duel modest. The rule will be to fight fair and square while minimizing injury. We came here to subjugate monsters, not people, after all. Then begin. She thinks, Aman Heder. As expected of a genius swordsman, his stance is clean and without excess. Today, I cross swords with him, but in my previous life, Aman was, what are you doing? Don't just stand there, hurry and run away. A knight ordered by Ferdin to protect me. Due to his foul mouth and lazy nature, he never did become a sword master in the end, but he was someone who knew what chivalry meant. After Sir Ferdin died and he no longer had to protect me, he still upheld that order until the moment of his own death. No matter how much he may owe me, that's that, and this is this. Fast. I'm being overpowered. Errol fights Eamon, she kicks him and he falls to the ground. She said, crazy? Eamon said, what is this? She thinks I got hit by Aaron Lysis? By that total novice? Errol said, you still don't seem to have come to your senses. Well, that's fine. You'll come to your senses if you keep getting hit. Eamon shouts, huh? Eamon fell to the ground and said, I lost. I was defeated by Aaron Lysis. Ashel said, Lady Lysis, the duel is over then. Errol replied, yes. She thinks, wasn't she hoping to take revenge through Lord Aman? Her demeanor, it's as if she anticipated this outcome. Eamon got up from the ground and said, how did you do it? You've only recently taken up the sword. I remember clearly at that party, your hands looked as though they'd never held a blade, nor even a needle. Immaculate. Eamon shouts, you know nothing of swordsmanship, nor of a knight's honor, how could you possess such skill? Errol sees the monster and takes up the sword. Eamon said, G.U.H. What are you doing all of a sudden? Eamon sees the monster and says, damn it. When did it? A fight broke out between the monster and Errol. The Earl wounded the monster with a powerful blow of his sword and fled from there. Eamon said, my lady. At this time another monster attacked Ashel. Errol defended her. Eamon said, she is having a seizure. Errol thinks there are too many of them. I can't move fast while carrying her. Eamon shouts this way. There's a place to hide here. Meanwhile Errol, Eamon, and Ashel hid behind a bush and the monster went back looking for them. Eamon said, it's not completely safe, but we can catch our breath for now. Errol thinks, the monsters are appearing earlier than expected. Most of them are mid-tier or higher. Could this be connected to my return to the past? Eamon said, hey, Aaron Lysis, let me see your back. He shouts, your wound. I was trying to apply medicine to your wound. You got hurt earlier saving me. Errol cries, ah. Eamon said, it's just that it's a spot hard to reach alone, so I was offering to help you apply it. What do you take me for? Errol said, Lady Ashili, why did she suddenly have a seizure? Eamon said, her body holds a great deal of divine power, so it happens often. This time, I suspect the monster's foul energy may have triggered it. Errol replied, I see. Errol thinks this situation is uncomfortable. Eamon said, when I was a child. Eamon thinks how strange of him to tell his story so suddenly. I once followed my father into the underground prison. Perhaps it was to instill a sense of discipline in his lazy son, Or perhaps he wished to impart a deeper lesson, to show me the weight of committing a crime. I'm not sure. But I still remember the prisoner I saw that day. He was hung awkwardly against the wall like a sack of grain and tortured. His body was covered in old scars, much like your back. Raymond said, who could have done this? What kind of fool dares to lay a hand on someone from the Marquis household? This is outrageous. Errol said, Sir Amon, please take Lady Ashili and return at once. Raymond said, what? Errol said, Lady Ashili's breathing has grown rapidly. I think her condition is worsening. Raymond shouts, what do you take me for? If anyone's running, it should be you running with the lady. Errol shouts, I'm begging you. Please just go. I can't run as fast as you, Sir Amon, so you must go ahead and call for help. On another side, Ferdinando thinks, something's not right. I can still hear the monster's shrieks, but they're not coming any closer beyond a certain point. Are they even monsters? Fandango said. Amon carrying Ashil on her shoulder came. Ferdinando said, Amon, what happened? Did you encounter them? The ground suddenly shook and, hold on. Why are there only two of you? Where is Sir Aaron? Amon bowed, sat on the ground, and replied, we split up along the way. She said she'd act as a decoy. Errol floated out of the river, drew their sword, and entered the arena to confront the monster. Errol thinks the act I repeated to the point of exhaustion in my third life. In that world, overflowing with monsters, laws and order had long since vanished, so killing hordes of monsters was not a choice, but a necessity. In that life, I had glimpsed the pinnacle of the sword, the mastery called Sword Master. If I had realized my talent earlier in my first life, could I have kept anyone from dying? Back then, I couldn't protect them, but this time, I will protect them. Meanwhile, another monster appeared in front of Errol. She struck it with a powerful sword blow and it died. On another side, at that moment, Ferdin's party, Karen said, what do you mean my sister became bait? Karen shouts, you, don't tell me. Did you abandon her just to save yourself? And you still call yourself a knight? I have to go save her. Lilia said, Aaron Lysis, acting as bait alone for a horde of monsters? To me, that sounds like she's saying she wants to die. Another said that woman must not die so easily. Lilia said, is that why you're saying you want to save her? Karen said, what are you, Lilia? Ferdinando said, watch your words. Sir Karen, calm yourself. Right now, rescuing Lady Aaron comes first. Karen said, I'll go request reinforcements. If by any chance something happens to my sister, I will not forgive you, you dishonorable wretch. A man who knows neither the sword nor a knight's honor, how could you have such skill? Meanwhile, on another forest path, Errol thinks, I've erased my tracks. I dealt with the monsters using sword energy only a sword master could wield, so they'll never think I'm dead. If I circle around like this and return to the knight's camp, can I really go back? She said, Calypse. Calypse, Lilia's older brother. Calypse said, it's an honor to meet you, Lady Aaron. I am Calypse, assigned from today as your personal attendant. She thinks he was one of the people I could never forget, no matter how many lives passed, and the first to notice my stepmother's vile nature. Calypse said, you must tell the Marquis what Madame has done. If it's too difficult alone, I will be there with you. So when the Marquis returns from the front lines this time, please speak to him, my lady. Errol thinks, but what if, just as stepmother says, father thinks I'm useless? What if nothing changes? Calypse said, that's not true. The Marquis loves you, my lady. She thinks he was the one who planted a small seed of courage in me, and my only friend. Aaron's mother said, look here, Aaron. This mother has caught a little rat. The insolent fool, would you believe, warned me about something that never happened. Because someone told such a lie, one of my attendants had to die. Errol said, Errol thinks I should have said I wasn't hit by mother. But it was too much to endure, so I confided in him. Calypse's cold body was sent home, and thanks to my stepmother's lies, it was said that I had killed him. My reputation was already in ruins by then, and no one wanted to know the truth. Why did I return to this point in time? If I had gone back further, I never would have told Calypse. Still, unlike before, Lady Ashili survived this time. Then perhaps the future will change as well? Maybe if I don't return and am thought to have died in the village, a better future might unfold. If I'm gone, everyone can be happy. Someone's approaching? Ferdinando, said Dame Erin. She thinks of all people. Why are you here? He shouts Lady Erin. She thinks at the same time, at the Marquis of Lysis. 0 messages remaining. Upgrade to ChatGPT Go to keep the conversation go. Errol thinks a few days later, Marquis Lysis residence. As if to completely block off any intruder from the enemy side, knights were stationed around the residence. It was truly a great display of power for the scale of a Marquis family. All of this was due to the power he had built up on the front line. It was also a testament of his distinguished position within the empire. Instead, there was someone else who benefited from his power, wealth, honor, and lived like a queen in the Marquis residence, Marchioness Corellia Lysis. She said, it's already been more than a decade since I had my second marriage with Marquis Lysis. High-quality dresses, and servants who come at your service when you ring the bell. I think I've become too attached to the role of Marchioness. Corellia said that I might feel a bit regretful if I were to return to my original role. Raymond said, do you want to return to where you come from? I'm hiding any sign of swordsmanship with black magic, since it doesn't really suit the role of Marchioness. The king said, I heard of your great talent. A great knight who's stronger than Marquis Lysis? Corellia said, pardon me, your majesty. The king said, I called you here because I need your strength. There's not many sword masters in this empire. Only 3 of them. There are not more than 10 people across the entire continent. Yeah, only 3. Even if I reign at the top of the empire, I can't do anything as I please with these 3, and I am in a situation where I can't act as I wish. I'm not going to just wait and see. Help me to stop them from running wild, Dame Corellia. She replied, I will heed your order, your majesty. That was a long time ago. His Majesty has long wanted to acquire the Marquis of Lysis, who has long produced sword masters. So I've been hiding my identity here for a long time. And the Marquisade's greatest legacy has been torn apart and ruined by its young buds. Everything went so smoothly, since the Marquis was stranded at the front line and could hardly return home. She opened the letter and said, however, in this letter, the subjugation party from Aten's Academy, who were dispatched for monster subjugation, managed to finish the subjugation with the help of a passing sword master, and all members returned safely. Corellia said, are you telling me my plans were ruined by a passing sword master? A maid entered the room and said, excuse me, I've heard a loud noise, so pardon my rudeness for coming in. Corellia said, my hand slipped, can you clean it up? The maid replied, yes, I will clean it up for you. Are you hurt somewhere? Corellia said, no, I'm fine. The maid said, then I'll excuse myself. Corellia said, do you think this makes sense, Raymond? He said, well, the message that we received yesterday is indeed strange. The fact that a sword master, who aren't many in this continent to begin with, happened to pass by that forest. Corellia said, Princess Ashili should have been dead in this subjugation. That's how Duke Ashili was going to abandon Ferdinand Lexis. In accordance to this arrangement, I went through the trouble to force Erin to get engaged with the second prince and put her in the swordsmanship faculty, and it gets ruined by a passing sword master? Raymond said, you'll be in trouble if you smash it. Corellia said, at Aten's Academy, rumors have spread that Erin wields a sword. I need to make sure that what Sir Rekkan claimed is true. Erin thinks I still remember the first day I met her. Erin said, nice to meet you. Can I call you Mom from now on? Corellia thinks I'm not your mom, foolish girl. Eyes blinking with innocence, a flower-like figure, a great sample of one who was born from a good family. Errol said, how did Karen swing it? Errol thinks I think it's like this. Errol said, and not like this. Let me try to remember again. Corellia thinks just like how much I wanted to take her. That child has the skill of a sword master. Errol, crying, said, I was wrong. Please stop. Corellia thinks I must destroy her. That child's muscles are needed for a sword master, Marquis Lysis' legacy. She already had talent beyond that man, this kid. Calypso said, please don't do this to Miss Erin. Aren't you afraid of God? You won't be forgiven. Corellia thinks even a mere servant dares to lecture me like that. Well, a mere servant is nothing but an extra. Because of that, Aaron has become completely broken since that day. In the end, it wasn't a bad choice. Corellia said there's not much left to do. Now that His Majesty has begun to move, the plan can't go wrong from here on. Go to Aten's academy, Raymond. Go check if she really uses the sword. Even if she were to learn swordsmanship with broken bones, at best she'll maintain the level of a senior knight. But if it's true that she wields the sword, wouldn't it be okay if her wrist is broken due to some accident? Raymond? At the same time, Aaron's room. At that time, Errol woke and she was back in the present life. Karen said, "Sis, are you awake?" Errol said, "Where am I?" Karen said, "Don't get up yet." The academy. Your room. Errol thinks my room. I must have been unconscious for a while. My clothes have been changed. Who could have done this? They must have seen my scars. Karen said, You really? Are you out of your mind? You almost died. What were you thinking? What makes you think you're strong enough to act as bait? Karen said, I'm not mad. It's just, Errol thinks judging by his reaction, I don't think Karen was the one who changed my clothes. If he had, he would have asked about these scars first. Come to think of it, Karen's arm. Since it didn't come to that, I'm truly so relieved. Karen said, Ugh. Then why would you do something that could have gotten you killed? From now on, don't you ever do that again. If you think you're going to die, just run away and save yourself. Got it? Errol thinks, I thought I saw tears welling in his eyes. Must be my imagination. Karen said you should lie down a little longer. Errol said, I'm thirsty. Karen replied, wait there, I'll get it for you. By the way, good timing waking up while Ferdinand Alexia isn't here. That guy was so annoying, always stopping by while you were asleep. Errol said, don't joke around. Karen, taking the glass of water, said, I am not kidding. Errol thinks Lord Ferdindo, visiting my room? That's impossible. And for good reason. Errol thinks when Lord Ferdinando picked up, he said, Dame Erin, please wake up. Errol said with a sign, Lord Ferdindo. He replied, yes, please speak. Errol said, don't be like this with me, don't be so kind. Errol thinks that's what I said to him. There's no way he'd come to my room after hearing that. Karen said, give me the cup. Still, it's a relief. I'm glad the Academy granted permission for the visit. Errol said, permission for whose visit? Karen said, Lord Raymond's. Mother must have been very worried about you. She requested that the Academy allow Lord Raymond to be assigned as your escort. Isn't that great? You always looked up to Lord Raymond, didn't you, sis? Errol said, so, Lord Raymond is coming here. She thinks meanwhile, in the Central Hall conference room. Lately, it's just been one strange thing after another. During the monster subjugation, we thought it was a swarm of low-level monsters, but it turned out to be a swarm of mid-level ones. Then, a sword master appeared out of nowhere and took care of them. And whatever happened with Aaron Lysis there, has made Amon act strangely, too. That's such a serious expression for him. But the strangest one of all, is Ferdindo. Ferdinando said, how is Dame Erin? Karen said she hasn't woken up yet. But Lord Ferdindo, aren't you busy? He thinks not busy, my foot. He visits Aaron Lysis' sickbed every single day. And Ferdindo, who always presented a perfect image, has been caught staring blankly outside quite often, and showing up with dark circles under his eyes like today. Derek thinks the report on the monster's subjugation to His Majesty the Emperor can't be delayed any further. He's the one who knows best that he'll be the one to suffer for it. What on earth are you thinking, Ferdindo? Ferdinando thinks Dame Erin. Please wake up. She said this time, Lord Ferdindo. He replied, yes, please speak. Don't be like this with me, don't be so kind, just hate me like everyone else does, just like that. Why did she suddenly say that? Don't be kind? I should hate you like everyone else? Does Lady Erin hate me? Is that why? Because she doesn't want me near, she said those things, to push me away on purpose. Lilia said, shouldn't we proceed with the meeting now, Lord Ferdindo? How long do you plan to keep us waiting in silence? Derek shouts, hey, why are you talking like that? Ferdinando said, Lilia is right, Derek. I was the one who called this meeting, yet I was being thoughtless. However, I don't see Lady Ashili. Does anyone know where she went? Lilia said, what is it now? Eamon said she went to see Dame Erin. Lilia and Derek shout, what? Did you just call her Dame Erin? Even using a title. Eamon said, I ran into her on the way here. She said she heard Dame Erin had woken up. Lady Ashili told me to proceed with the meeting without her. Derek said she's just ignoring us. Ferdinando said Dame Erin woke up. Lilia said, thank goodness. You all seem to have grown quite close to her. Well, it's a good thing for everyone to get along. We need to report this absurd situation to His Majesty the Emperor, be it the strange phenomenon of a mid-level monster swarm in the northern forest, or the sword master who appeared as if on cue. But I suppose it's a fine thing to rejoice that a murderer is awake, free of such worries. Eamon said, Lilia, you've gone too far. You have no right to say that. Lilia said, weren't you the one bragging not to abandon Afro? We're going to put Erin Lysis in her place? And now you've changed your tune? Did you suddenly develop some camaraderie after facing one crisis together? And you, Lord Ferdinando, you're no different. She shouts, your colleague, not Erin Lysis. Lilia thinks, I got too emotional. I didn't mean to say all that. Lilia, cooling down, said, I apologize. I got a little carried away. What I'm trying to say is, the report isn't the only thing we should be worried about. Didn't you all receive the notice from the Academy? Duke Ashili is scheduled to visit Athens Academy as a special guest instructor. Lord Ferdinando, the father of your former lover, Duke Ashili, is coming. Erin's room. Errol thinks I'm so flustered right now, at the visit of this unexpected person. Why did the Duchess come to see me? I heard from Sir Amon. Ashili said you offered to be a decoy to save us? I wanted to thank you sincerely in person. Errol said you didn't have to go to all that trouble, though. Errol thinks this person is making me feel strangely uncomfortable. Ashili said no. A thank you should always be given in person. Is there anywhere else you're hurt? I healed the wounds from the monster with divine power, but I left your other injuries to heal on their own. And I changed Lady Lysis' clothes myself. I didn't tell anyone about the scars and I won't either. Errol thinks I'm telling you because I thought you'd be worried. Ashili said I don't know what your circumstances are, but it seems you don't want anyone to know. Errol said, Duchess Ashili, don't you hate me? Why? She said, why? Why would I? Ashili said, why? You ask? Errol said you were in a relationship with Sir Ferdin, weren't you? Because of me, you two broke up, so of course I figured you'd hate me. Ashili said, That's true, but no, it's not that I'm saying it's true that I hate you, Lady Lysis. Errol said. Ashili said, I'm sorry, Lady Lysis. I can't tell you anything about that right now. There are some circumstances here. Errol thinks, circumstances? Ashili said, but I can tell you this one thing for sure. I don't hate you, Lady Lysis. How could I hate my lifesaver? So, can I call you by your name? Errol thinks, lifesaver. I don't deserve to be called that. Because I've never properly protected anyone. That's why I was so flustered when the Duchess came into my room. Ashili smiled and said, Lady Lysis, I'm so relieved you're awake. Errol thinks because I was facing her, alive. A person I never got to meet in my previous life. Ashili said, You can call me by my name, I'm so happy. I'll come visit often. Please take good care of me from now on, Knight Erin. Errol shook her hand and replied yes. She thinks after spending such an unexpected amount of time, I couldn't miss any more classes, so I decided to attend the afternoon session. But Eamon said, shouldn't you rest a little more, Knight Erin? Errol thinks I was faced with yet another unexpected situation. A man said, did you hear that just now? Sir Amon called Erin Knight? He even used formal language. People were saying, why on earth? She thinks I know, right? Did the sun rise in the west or something? Eamon said, what are you doing? I'm checking to see if the sun rose in the west. So, did it? Errol replied, no, It's the same as always. You're someone who should be in the advanced class, so why are you in the beginner's class? Errol said, what do you mean? She thinks in the swordsmanship department, you must carry out a mission given by the Emperor in order to advance to the next level, according to the Academy's tradition. The missions are varied and extremely dangerous, including monster subjugation, duels with veteran knights, and more. Amon had received one of the most difficult missions among them and was promoted to the advanced class after an immense struggle. Then why? He would have to go through all that trouble again to get promoted. Amon said, I moved because I wanted to, so there's no need to make that face. I realized that I was lacking. Amon thinks of the moment when the monster attacked him. Errol said, go. Amon picked up a shili from behind and said, damn it. I'll go get reinforcements. Stay alive until then. Amon said leaving someone behind was a truly terrible feeling. I was completely weak. And yet, despite being so weak, I had the audacity to tell you that you didn't know honor. It was such an arrogant thing to say. When in reality it was I who was full of arrogance. I'd like to apologize. Since it seems like you don't want to talk about it, I won't ask and I'll keep what I saw a secret. But just one thing, when you're all healed up, could you duel with me? Errol thinks I know the meaning of that look. The eyes of a knight who yearns to become stronger, wanting to protect someone and willing to die for them. As a knight to a knight. When he looks at me like that, I can't refuse. Errol said, I don't mind dueling right now. Amon replied, are you sure about that? Errol said, yes, please don't go easy on me just because I'm a patient. Because I won't go easy on you either. That won't happen. Phew, I almost had to camp out here. Alright then. Derek said, shall we go see Lady Erin? Derek thinks the dorm head said Lady Erin went to the training grounds, right? HM? That man is Duke Ashili, one of only 3 sword masters in the Empire. Wherever he passed, piles of monster corpses were left behind, commander of the Empire's elite First Knight Order, a man who reached the pinnacle of the sword, the idol and role model of all knights. A man said, and most of those monsters were high-ranked. Ronald said, you're saying Academy students fought them? A passing sword master took care of it. Derek, behind the wall, thinks I heard he was assigned to investigate this monster's subjugation, but I didn't expect to run into him here. Ronald said, don't talk nonsense. A sword master suddenly appeared and wiped them out. Do you have any idea what it means to become a sword master? Don't be so reckless as to speak lightly of a master when you haven't even approached that level. A man thinks the level where mana coats the body, not just the sword, always impressive to witness. The man bowed and replied, yes, understood. Ronald thinks HM? Derek thinks, did my aura overwhelm him? Not an Academy student, but he looks familiar. A man said in Ronald's ear, this is Sir Raymond of House Lysis. Ronald replied, from Lloyd's household? He thinks Derek sees and thinks the Marquis only ever brought Sir Reckon around, so I didn't remember. But Lloyd valued this one quite a bit. Derek said, my apologies for the late greeting, Duke Ashili. It's been a while. Derek thinks I heard he's a high-ranking knight like Sir Reckon, but that surface-level skill is still lacking, far from there yet. Ronald said, where is Aaron Lysis? A man said, at the training grounds. Derek said, then let's head there. Derek thinks seems he's going to see Lady Erin for the investigation. More than that, they say Duke Ashili only cares about those with talent for the sword. Being judged like that doesn't feel pleasant at all. A boy said, what on earth is going on? Erin and Sir Avon are evenly matched. He thinks no, look closely. It's not even. Erin's brimming with composure, while Sir Avon's clearly struggling. Errol thinks a simple thrust, dodge to the side and this. Fast. Damn. A fierce clash erupts between them, and then Errol places her sword against his forehead. Eamon thinks she copied my sword style. Our family's sword technique. She replicated it after seeing it only once? How is that even possible? Unbelievable. Sir Avon lost to Erin? I thought she just got lucky surviving the monster's subjugation. How could this be? Yvonne said, how did you copy our family's sword technique? Errol replied, could you please treat me as you normally do? Ronald said, oh. remarkable talent. Errol thinks, when did Duke Ashili get here? Someone's behind her. Derek smiled and said, Aaron, it's been a while. Errol looks and thinks, Sir Raymond, someone I relied on deeply in the past. In House Lysis, where I thought I had no allies, he was like an oasis in the desert, someone who stood by my side. I probably would have trusted him until the end. Raymond said, I heard you were injured during the subjugation. Looks like it wasn't too serious. That's a relief. Errol replied, I must smell of sweat. Errol thinks back to the past, when he said the madam told me to give you this message. Don't worry. Your family will be joining you soon, Aaron. If only he hadn't been the one to kill me. Raymond said, Aaron. Errol said, it's good to see you again, Raymond. Errol thinks, now I can finally take revenge for my death. Raymond sees the fight between Errol and Eamon. He thinks, what the, she's good? That period's way too short for that. Or is that the talent of the Lysis family that Corellia was so wary of? Even so, she's too good. When Eamon said, how did you imitate our family's sword form? She replied, can't you just treat me like you usually do? Eamon said, is it really more comfortable if I act like I used to? Errol said, yes, please do that. Raymond thinks, did she smile? Aaron knows how to make a face like that. Errol said, I'm sweating, so I probably smell. It's been a while. Good to see you, Raymond. I'm really glad. Raymond thinks you don't seem to have changed one bit from before. A master said, everyone, gather up. We'll resume class. Errol replied, I have to go. See you later. Raymond thinks Corellia thoroughly broke down Aaron's mind and body, training her to her own liking. Training her to her own liking. If Corellia's role was to break Aaron's wings, then I took it upon myself to play the role of her savior. Errol said, thanks for saving me, Raymond. Errol thinks, I didn't realize the snake was getting close. If it hadn't been for you, it would have been really bad. When Raymond sees the snake behind the tree, the snake catches Errol's leg and she shouts, Kaya. Raymond said, Aaron can be clueless at times, so it's lucky it wasn't a viper. Errol thinks, in the Marquis's residence with no escape, she became a complete outcast, a young lady of the Marquis family, crushed by constant abuse. Raymond said, can you walk? He thinks this innocent young lady, knowing nothing, would cling to the faint warmth I offered her. She replied, yeah. He thinks and hold on to even the smallest hope. Errol said, whoa. Raymond, you're lighter than before. Did you lose more weight again? Errol said, oh really? Raymond said, you need to eat well. If you keep this up even after entering the swordsmanship department, you won't be able to lift a wooden sword. Errol said, ah, got it. Raymond thinks, watching her go from despair to finding a glimmer of light. I honestly found it amusing. And yet, she cast me aside? I'll just have to remind you who your savior really is. That evening, in Ferdin's office, Ronald thinks it was an astonishing talent. Precise sword paths, restrained movements, and power pressing the opponent at just the right timing. When I saw her briefly as a child, she didn't have the slightest hint of talent with a sword. She looked so frail I wondered if she could even stand properly. The way children grow is truly frightening. Ferdinando came and said, Duke Asalai, it's been a while. Have you been well? He thinks I was too lost in thought. Ronald said yes, and has His Highness the Second Prince been doing well too? Ferdinando said, come now, even if you've come for official business, this is an informal setting, isn't it? Please speak comfortably. You were close friends with my mother, and you've looked after me since I was a child. Please treat me as you usually do. Ronald said, very well then. Since we're on the subject, let me ask you something. Ferdinando said yes. Ronald said, while I was devoting myself to the Empire, subjugating monsters in the southern mountains, you went and got engaged to Aaron Lysis without even consulting me, didn't you? Duke, that's... Ferdinando said, I've heard the reason you had no choice but to get engaged to Aaron Lysis was because it came with His Majesty the Emperor's command. I heard the Emperor has issued an additional order. Ronald shouts, even so. That he's such a doting father he would dare abandon the Empire's saint, his daughter, and choose the Empire's Villainess instead? He thinks, was the fact that he is an extreme doting parent. Ashel said, that's enough, father. In any case, my relationship with Ferdin was nothing but an act arranged by contract, to keep the factions around the two of you in check. I got your permission for it beforehand, so why are you getting angry when you already knew? Ferdinando said, my lady. Ronald said, and my daughter, that's not what I meant. I just didn't want it to look like you were the one who got dumped. Ferdinando thinks I see this scene all the time, but I still can't get, Ashel said, dumped? I'm being treated like some tragic heroine. And don't speak badly about Dame Erin. She's my friend. I think you rather like Dame Erin too, father. You saw her at the training grounds before you came here, saw how strong she is. Ronald said, indeed, she holds quite an exceptional talent. Is that why you so readily accepted the engagement with Erin Lysis? She showed you her talent, didn't she? I mean your ability. Ronald said, so, you willingly accepted the engagement with Erin Rithers? Was it to show you her talent? Your own ability, that is. Ferdinand Lection's ability. It's a special power passed down only within the Lection bloodline, and it's also the reason why the Lection royal family has maintained its current influence. The truth known to this world, the power to indiscriminately see the past of a subject, the eye that sees truth. Ferdinando said, as the Duke knows, my ability doesn't manifest whenever I want. It suddenly shows me someone's past on its own will. Renaud said, so you're saying you saw nothing? Ferdinando said, I didn't see anything related to sword talent. You did see something else then. That is something I cannot speak of. Renaud thinks, this guy can't even tell me that much? What on earth did he see? Renaud said, Ferdinand, the Emperor is always looking for an opportunity to strike you down. I cannot help you directly. Implicitly, we sword masters have sworn not to interfere in the affairs of the royal family. That may be why the Emperor allowed your engagement to the Empire's Villainess. If she makes a mistake, the Emperor will use the excuse that you failed to properly control her, Renaud said, to pin the blame on you. I am aware of that. I wonder if you truly understand. Sending me here to investigate the monster subjugation report feels like a way to force me to dig up your secrets with my own hands. Speaking of which, what happened exactly? What is this sword master thing? No matter how I think about it, the monsters weren't something ordinary knights could handle. We have our own doubts about that too. They were slain before anyone could even assess the situation. He thinks we should check the others who participated in the subjugation as well. Ferdinando said, could it have been the work of someone on the hunting party? Renaud said, unfortunately, once you reach a certain level, it becomes impossible to gauge each other's strength. Even if you face them, you can't be sure. I'd like to meet that hidden person myself. It's been a long time since I couldn't find a worthy opponent. It's late at night, so let's leave it here for today. Ah, Ferdinand. Ferdinando said, speak, Duke. Renaud smiled and said, thank you for bringing my daughter back safely. Ferdinand said, please give your thanks to Lord Amon and Lord Erin instead. Those two safely escorted the princess back. He thinks that may be why the Emperor allowed the engagement with the Empire's Villainess. The Empire's Villainess. Well, I don't know much about that, Duke, about Lord Erin being a villainess. A few months ago, the Empire's second prince, Ferdinand Lection, though born from a concubine, not the lawful wife, he possessed a kind and endlessly generous nature. Errol said he was truly a prince in every sense. Ashel said, looks like classes are over. Errol thinks he looked better than anyone else who holds the title of prince. If there has been anything different about him lately, Ashel said, Ferdinand. He replied, the princess? His relationship with Lady Astley, the princess? They have been close since childhood. The meeting of a prince and a saint stirred people's interest and sparked romantic fantasies, becoming the ideal image of a couple that people dreamed of, though not for the two themselves. Ashel said, ugh, it's so cheesy. Why do so many people watch us like that? I thought my mouth was going to twitch from forcing a smile. Why do you open the door so slowly? Hurry up. Ferdinand said, you walk too slowly. Don't blame others when you don't think about your own pace. Ashel shouts, what? These two, who are like sworn enemies, secretly signed a contract and have been publicly known as lovers for months now. Their reason for this choice was the power struggle within the royal family and personal grudges. The Emperor favored the first prince, born of the lawful wife, over the second prince, Ferdinand. Naturally, Ferdinand came into conflict with the first prince, and lacking noble ties in the empire, he was at a disadvantage in power. Lady Astley is the only daughter of Duke Astley and a princess with the power of a saint. Her father was a sword master, but like him, she had no interest in power. However, she harbored a grudge as a saint against the emperor. Having known each other since childhood, they knew each other better than anyone else. Ferdinand needed a shield to strengthen his position, and the princess believed that only Ferdinand could restrain the emperor and the first prince's recklessness. Thus, the choice they made was a contract relationship. Ashel said they knew what they were doing, but it's pretty exhausting. Pretending to be good in front of others to maintain the saintly image is tiring enough, but having to act like affectionate lovers too, Ferdinand said, just say the word, and I'll break the contract anytime. Ashel said, if you break it? Are you confident you'll survive? Well, I can't deny it. But what if you lose your life? Being involved with me puts your safety at risk as well. Ashel said, what are you saying? Everyone dies eventually, contract or not. And I didn't make a contract to save your life. I made the best choice for the empire as a saint. Ferdinand thinks that's very princess-like. He said, I think you should worry about yourself before me. Ashel said, I hear talk of your engagement with Miss Rithers. Ashel said, it's been a long time since we've seen each other at a banquet, second prince. Ferdinand said, yes, I've been infrequent in my attendance due to my academy duties. Ashel said, but is that rumor true? I heard that you're getting engaged to Lady Rithers. Ronald said, you know that there have been discussions about your engagement to the daughter of the Rithers family, don't you? She's an excellent match for you. This time, attend the banquet and at least get to know the young lady. It's Erin Rithers. What is that villainess doing at a banquet? It looks like the rumors are true, the one about her getting engaged to the second prince. How could this be? The second prince is getting along so well with the saintess, to be engaged to a woman like that. I feel so bad for the second prince. Errol thinks this passed. Ferdinand said, have you eaten? She replied, oh, Your Highness. He thinks this feeling. Where am I? A room? Whose? And why did my ability suddenly manifest? Sobo sniffle, Lady Rithers? I'm seeing Lady Rithers past right now. So this must be her room. But why is she crying so sorrowfully? She's crying just like I used to when I was a child. Errol said, second prince. Are you alright? Your face suddenly went pale. Ferdinand said, yes, I'm fine. She thinks I'm back to normal. This headache is severe, so this is the after effect of my ability. What I just saw, what could it have been? Did you see the second prince's expression just now? What could that woman have said to make His Highness look like that? What a villainess, to say something like that to His Highness, who even brought her cake. Her heart is just wicked, isn't it? Errol said, her heart is just wicked, isn't it? Errol said, excuse me, I need to go fix my makeup. Ferdinand said, thank you for your concern, Lady Rithers. You must have been surprised? I suddenly felt dizzy for a moment. Thanks to your concern, I feel much better. She thinks he raised his voice. Why all of a sudden? Ferdinand said, so please don't worry about me. Errol replied, thank you, second prince. Ferdinand's office. Ferdinand said, phew, a banquet after a long time is exhausting. Errol thinks I've never seen him make an expression like that before. There are many nicknames for the daughter of the Rithers family: the villainess of the century, the disgrace of the Rithers family, the empire's one and only witch, etc. Ferdinand thinks as if she were a being meant to hear all the world's criticism. Malicious stories followed her like a shadow wherever she went. However, despite all the rumors, I have never once seen her cause a ruckus at a banquet. Not only does she rarely attend, but even when she does show up, she always spends a quiet, reasonable amount of time in a corner before leaving. Ferdinand said, she left early today too. She left a lot on her plate. Does she not like cake? Or is she just a light eater? Wait, why am I worried about this? You know that there have been discussions about your engagement to the daughter of the Rithers family, don't you? She's an excellent match for you. This time, attend the banquet and at least get to know the young lady. You vulgar boy. Right, I have bigger problems. Who am I to be worrying about someone else? Lady Rithers, you know talks are going around about an engagement with the daughter of House Rithers, right? She's quite good for your match. Attend this banquet, and at least meet her face to face. Vulgar brat, people think of me as perfect, as the Empire's flawless second prince, without a single blemish, but the reality was different. Ferdinand said from head to toe, you resemble that woman, and there's not a single thing about it that I like. I should never have taken that woman as a concubine. The noble blood of the Lexia's imperial family flowing through your veins is wasted. Vulgar half-blood brat. My mother was the saintess of the Holy Kingdom who served the goddess, and until she passed away from illness, she was the goddess's apostle, hearing her voice and prophecies. My father trampled the Holy Kingdom, took my mother as a concubine, and ruled the Holy Kingdom as a vassal state of the Empire. Even my mother. I was born amid the same humiliation and disgrace, and my father was never pleased with my existence. To my father, who revered the imperial bloodline, I was nothing more than a creature that tainted the imperial family's blood. If he ever found out I inherited even the special abilities of the Lexia's imperial family, he'd have tried to kill me on the spot. My father always wishes for my death, and my half-siblings also hate me. For someone like me, who could be attacked at any moment, to care about someone else is such a foolish thing, and yet, despite that, for some reason, I kept seeing her in many different ways. Yesterday felt like I saw something I shouldn't have. That cat is a stray I've often seen at the academy. When I first saw it, it was skinny, but now, even from a distance, it looks quite healthy. Could it be that Lady Rithers has been taking care of it? Derek said. Ferdinand, what are you spacing out for? Ferdinand thinks said oh? Derek said class is over. Ferdinand replied ah. Derek said you're acting strange today. Did something happen at the banquet yesterday? Or maybe a lover's quarrel with my lady? If not that, Derek thinks could it be that the Emperor, no, that person, said something unpleasant to you? Ferdinand thinks including Derek. My prospective knights don't know that Lady Astley and I are dating under a contract. They also don't know the detailed internal affairs of the imperial family. My father treats me like that. I am aware of the extent to which it is being handled. Ferdinand said it's nothing like that. Nothing happened at the banquet. Derek replied, That can't be right. I heard Erin Rithers attended. That nasty woman who's desperate to get engaged to you attended, and you're saying nothing happened? Ferdinand said really, nothing happened, and besides, she might not be as bad as the rumors say. You know how noble society works. Small rumors can pile up into castles. Derek replied, no matter what, a sand castle crumbles before the truth. Think about it. How could a decent person maintain such bad rumors for almost 10 years? There's always a reason for it. Ferdinand replied, well, I find it hard to believe. Because, Ferdinand thinks, today is the 8th time I've been catching sight of unexpected sides of her. The number of times she feeds the cat, early morning, late lunch, and evening, 3 times a day. The place where she feeds the cat is behind my dormitory, and my dormitory is in the old dorm building, so students staying in the new dorm building almost never come here. So if you loop around to the back of the building, Eamon and Ursh said good day, Your Highness, the second prince. Ferdinand said hello. He thinks there's almost no chance of running into anyone. In short, if she moves discreetly, there's very little risk of anyone catching her feeding the cat. A secret only I know about her. Eamon said Your Highness, the second prince, a letter has arrived from the imperial palace. Gave the letter to him. Ferdinand read the letter and thinks like the unchanging mountains and rivers, stifling days repeat themselves. When will it end? At the end of it, what will remain? The sight of her as I waited vaguely. Another sighed. Errol said sorry, I'm really late, aren't I? I almost ran into people on the way, so I had to take the long way around. But in exchange, I'll stay with you for a long time today. Another sighed. Ferdinand thinks for some reason, it let me breathe a little easier. Until she loses her smile one day. I don't know what happened. Woken by the thunder, I suddenly thought of the cat, and when I found her with the cat, I rushed out after them. But by the time I went outside, Lady Lurthus had already moved on, and when I found her trail and caught up, it was already too late to do anything. A month later, Derek said, "Hey, Ferdin." He replied, "Good morning, Derek." Ferdinand went to the room and he thinks everything had gone back to normal. I no longer had the habit of staring out the window, and I haven't seen Lady Lurthus since. It was only natural. She was from a different department, and if she hadn't come to my dorm, there was no reason we'd cross paths. She said, Hey, have you heard? The Prince Ferdin is finally getting engaged to Erin Lurthus." "No way, so does that mean he's breaking up with Lady Asalai?" A boy said, "Ugh, poor Prince Ferdin. Of all people, with Erin Lurthus. He's Mary, the murderer who killed Lilia's brother." "What?" Derek said, "This looks interesting. Can we join in?" A boy said, "Ha, Prince Ferdin." Both said, "My apologies," and ran away. Derek said, "Hey, pick up the book and go. You scheming little. They praised you when you were cool, but now they can't wait to see you fall." Ferdinand said, "This kind of talk isn't anything new, don't react to every little thing." Derek replied, "Aren't you going to react? Doesn't it piss you off?" Ferdinand said, "Derek, why did you decide to follow me?" He thinks Lady Lurthus still had those dark rumors following her, but I continued to maintain the perfect image of the prince on the outside. But I know the truth, that appearances aren't everything. To the royal family, I was just a pretty shell. The people I liked and followed, misfortune always followed them. They had no choice. They either had to leave me, or suffer beside me. You know this. My father's pressure won't stop. My father's pressure won't stop. If this goes on, you'll keep, Derek said, Ferdin. Do I need a reason to follow you? Well, if I had to add something, it's that I'm a bit too ambitious. My swordsmanship is obvious, and the only thing I'm a little better at than you is my studies, maybe? After all, pain is part of everything. If I'm going to suffer anyway, wouldn't it be better to follow someone I want to be loyal to? Ferdinand said, honestly, you guys are out of your minds. Derek said, hey, I'm way better than that lazy Erin. Ferdinand thinks the reason I hadn't approached Lady Lurthus until now was that I felt even greater misfortune would follow her. That's why, for the first time, I was grateful to my father for personally making her mine. After the engagement, when she transferred to the swordsmanship department, and we met for the first time, something about her seemed different, and for some reason, she gave off a different vibe. I wanted to know more about her. Ferdinand said, Lady Lurthus, no, Dame Erin. He thinks about her. Ferdinand said I should call you that since we're both in the same swordsmanship department now. Long time no see. Ferdinand came near the window, looked behind, and thinks as of now, the Erin I had known up until then didn't harm anyone, and actually seemed to avoid the rumors about her killing Callops. Must not be true. I want to learn more about her. The security around her is so tight. I wonder if there's any way to get closer to her? About 2 months later, Errol said, thank you for making time for me, Sir Ferdin. I heard you're taking on another mission, through Lady Asalai. She visits my room often these days. Ferdinand thinks, this feels familiar. He said, I see, but for what mission? He thinks, wait a minute, is this an opportunity? Errol said, it seems like I'll be joining the mission as well. So about that, I was wondering if you could work with me on this mission. Derek thinks while listening, what is she talking about? I can't hear her from this distance. After observing Erin for a few days, it became clear that she was skilled with a sword. That meant, as Corellia said, it would be difficult to avoid injuries. Corellia said soon, the Emperor will order the second prince to lead the extermination of the werewolf tribe. Ferdin Lexia and his future knights will be sent out for sure. Count Leon will join later, but he won't provide any real support. This will be the end for Ferdin Lexia. I can't wait for that moment. When the second prince dies, she'll blame herself for everything. She'll think everything went wrong after she got engaged to him. They're both in the same situation anyway. The passing sword master? Let's see if such luck can strike twice. Derek thinks so. I just need to think about how I'll handle Erin. Alright, under the guise of protection, I'll follow along with the mission. And before stepping into the werewolf tribe's territory, I'll find a way to get Erin and I alone. Someone will purposely trick Erin into falling into the water, and after saving her, I'll begin her re-education. During that process, it's inevitable that she'll lose the use of one of her arms. Don't blame me too much, young lady. It's all her own doing, Raymond said. What are you guys doing? Not getting ready for camp? Derek said, no matter how I look at it, it's weird. Those two. Raymond said, what's weird? That they're sitting next to each other as an engaged couple? Karen said, yeah. It's strange. Derek thinks a few days ago, by imperial decree, we once again set out on a journey. Our mission was to subjugate the wolfmen and rescue the refugees they had captured. The wolfmen are a type of magical beast with some intelligence, strong and highly aggressive, so they're too much for a mere reserve knight order to handle. Thus, His Imperial Majesty assigned one of the Empire's sword masters, Count Leon, along with his knight order, to support us. We are currently on our way to the rendezvous point to join Count Leon. He said I didn't expect to be given a mission so suddenly, but I just can't get used to seeing those two stuck together like that. Karen said they'd been together since departure. Errol thinks it's not like they even look like they have much to say to each other. If there's no business, there's no need to be together, right? Then why? Leon said, and there's that strangely impenetrable air around them, too. Ugh, thank goodness Lady Ashley isn't here to see this. Oh, the lady isn't on this mission, right? Derek said, yeah, she didn't come along this time. You should add, my lady. Lilia said, so, what's their reason for sticking together? You must have heard something. Leon said, I don't know either. Errol said, Sir Ferdin, I need a word with you in private. Ever since talking with Aaron Lerthus before the mission, Derek said there's nothing else, other than them being together. Leon thinks. Together? Leon said, it is pretty strange. Karen, you said Sir Raymond joined this mission as Aaron's guard, right? Karen said yes, Sir Ferdin also gave his permission. He said it's fine if it's for my sister. And Sir Raymond, has he been guarding her since childhood? When necessary. The two have always been really close. Leon said, close, huh? Karen said, yes. Derek thinks is that the look of someone close. He thinks, hey, they're moving. Where are they going at this hour? Derek said, let's follow them. Leon said, where do you think you're going? We need to prepare the camp. Where are you trying to sneak off to? Derek said, where? I'm doing this purely for my lord's sake. Karen said, let go of me, Sir Amon. Errol thinks I'd practiced it in my head dozens, even hundreds of times. Words I'd always thought about, prepared for since the past. I didn't say them then, but now I had the courage. Errol said, Sir Ferdin, I'll annul our engagement. Ferdinand said, annul the engagement? Why would you suddenly say that? Errol said, there's no need for you to keep an engagement you dislike. I didn't want it either. Didn't want it? He said, Sir Aaron, then why did you want to be engaged to me? Errol said, you know what kind of person I am. It was just a fleeting whim. Then I've said my piece, excuse me. Ferdinand said, wait. Aaron. What on earth? Errol thinks my engagement to Sir Ferdin was forced on me by my stepmother. It had nothing to do with my own feelings toward him. Because he became engaged to me, he had to part with the woman he loved. Yet not once did either of them ever resent me, either in the past nor in the present. In the past, I was afraid of my stepmother and dragged Sir Ferdin down into the mire with me, but this time, I must not hold on to him. Errol said to Raymond, what are you doing there? I asked you a question? Why are you hiding like a rat and spying on me and Sir Ferdin, Raymond? Just a moment ago, Errol said you don't have to force yourself to stay in an engagement you dislike. I didn't want it either. Raymond thinks breaking off her engagement with the second prince? Has she lost her mind? As if that's something she can decide on her own, always acting so recklessly. Where did Lady Erin go? She was definitely here just a moment ago. Errol came from behind and put his sword to Raymond's throat and said, what are you doing there? Why are you hiding like a rat, spying on Sir Ferdin, Raymond? Raymond said I clearly hid my presence, so how did Aaron find me? And what was that aura from just now? I've never felt anything like it in my entire life. Killing intent? No, it can't be dismissed with a single word like that. It felt like staring straight into the gates of hell. Where did that aura suddenly come from? There's no way it was Aaron, who's only just begun learning the sword. Other than Aaron and myself, there's no sign of anyone else nearby. For someone that skilled to exist without me noticing is absurd, though. Errol said I still haven't heard your answer. I asked why you were spying on me and Sir Ferdin. Raymond said I think you've misunderstood. I just followed because I was worried about you going off alone with him. Even if he's your fiancé, it's risky to go this deep into the forest at night. Errol said you were worried about me? To me, you feel far more threatening right now. Raymond thinks I've kept my sword drawn this whole time. I didn't even realize. He said, you're right, sorry. But Lady Erin, why are you speaking with such a heavy tone? It's frightening. Did I do something wrong? Was it because I followed you? I already explained. That was because I was worried. You're far too careless, Erin. You trust people too easily. I was just afraid something might happen to you. Sir Ferdin may be known as a good man, but don't trust him too much. You've barely just met him. He's not like me, you should be cautious. Errol said don't put your faith in Ferdin. Put it in yourself. Errol thinks Raymond was like desert rain to me. To a life shriveled by constant abuse, he gave me even a little will to go on. I trusted him and was always grateful to him. Raymond said Madam said to tell you this. Don't worry. Your family will be following after you soon. Raymond said Erin. She thinks until I learned it was a lie from the very beginning. No matter how many lives I lived, I could never forget the expression I saw on him at the end. That smiling face. Even though he must have been following orders when he killed me, there wasn't a shred of sorrow, not even a trace of guilt, as if this was the very moment he had been waiting for. That face overflowing with relief. Why? Errol said Raymond, did you know? I never once treated you badly. When a sword pierces flesh, it hurts. Sometimes you don't even die right away. You're left trembling in pain for a long time before the end. Raymond thinks this is strange. Something's wrong. For Erin to show me such hostility, Raymond smiled and said, Lady Erin, let's just go back now. It's too late at night, everyone will be worried. Let's continue this talk at camp. Errol said, all right. Raymond thinks phew, that scared me. For Lady Erin to look at me with such an expression. For a moment, I wondered if she had hit her head. Honestly, Corellia really is too much. She should ease up on the discipline. She's gone strange because of it. Over the past 2 months watching Erin, I often felt she was excessively different from before. Those gentle, easy-to-tease eyes were gone, and in their place, she carried the gaze of a knight. Still, I didn't think much of it. Corellia said her body is ruined. Even if she trains with the sword now, at best, she'll only reach the level of a high-ranking knight. Wouldn't it be fine if an accident took one of her wrists? Raymond thinks no matter how much she's changed, in the end she's still the same, a naive, clueless Erin Lerthus. Actually, this works out better. The more she resists, the more entertaining it is to break her. Errol thinks when was it? I can't remember the exact day, but in the past, I once walked with Raymond along a pond, just like this. Back then, I was suddenly attacked by a stranger and fell into the water, and Raymond leapt in to save me. She thinks, past Raymond said, are you alright, Lady Erin? Damn it! I should have caught that guy. Errol thinks after that, I had to live in fear that someone was trying to kill me, and my distrust of people only grew worse. But now I know. That day, there was no attacker. Just like now, it was Raymond who pushed me. Did you really think I'd obediently return to Camp Raymond? Errol said, do you remember what I said the day I saw you again at the academy? Raymond thinks you're dangerous. Errol said it's truly a relief that you haven't changed at all from before. In the present, Errol said that you haven't changed at all from before. It's such a relief. Otherwise, I might have ended up giving you a chance to be forgiven. Raymond thinks what is happening right now? My plan was to push Aaron into the water, save her, and then fix that arrogant attitude of hers. So why did things turn out like this? Raymond said, what were you trying to do to me? Errol covered his mouth and said, throwing me into the water wasn't your only plan, was it? Why did the Marchioness order you to stop me from wielding? Errol thinks at that moment, I realized what the presence I had sensed really was, the terror of facing death. Raymond thinks Aaron had been hiding her true skill. But how? I have to do something right now, or I'll die. I'll be killed by Aaron's hand. This is my chance to win her over. Raymond said, Cordelia ordered me. You, no, Lady Aaron. She told me that if you could wield a sword, I had to make sure you'd never use one again. I was just following orders, it wasn't my choice. You've known me for so long, right? Please believe me. He thinks you can't cast me aside, the pitiful March's daughter, unloved all her life. Raymond said, it's her, isn't it? The March's eldest daughter. They say she kicked out the maids herself? Don't even mention it. I told my child never to associate with. Errol thinks more than being loved, she was used to longing for love. Errol said, I didn't do such a thing. I swear, please believe me, she thinks the more she craved attention and affection, the more people ignored her. A child who grew up unloved would be grateful even for the tiniest bit of concern, because it was the only connection she had with others. Errol said, Raymond, today, you will die by my hand. Raymond said, Raymond, today, you will die by my hand. Errol said, from the moment I ran into you at the academy, this was already my plan. Why else do you think I came this far with you? Besides, I already know your plan. You were going to push me into the pond, then pull me out, trying to win me over, while saying you were the only one who cared for me. Raymond shouted, and no, you've got it wrong, that was also Cordelia's order. She told me to throw you into the water. Errol said, Raymond said, I told you, Cordelia ordered all of this. Please spare me. I'm unarmed right now, it's basically surrender. It's not right for a knight to harm someone who has surrendered. Don't you believe those who kill fall into hell? If you do this, you'll end up in hell. Errol said, you're right, Raymond. In the past, and even now, I believed heaven and hell exist. Errol thinks in my first life, I was naive enough to think that if I lived kindly, I'd earn heaven. I'll be good, I promise. I'll listen to Mother, I won't hate anyone. I'll behave well, so please, let me meet Titi again in heaven. That naive girl tried not to hate anyone, even at the very end. Errol said, I begged you to. I pleaded for my life. But you didn't even listen. Raymond said, what are you talking about? Errol replied, I'll never get to see her again. Go ahead, wait for me first. Finally, Errol drew his sword and cut off his neck, and he was finished. Errol said, once it's all over, we'll meet again in hell. This is bad. It's a disaster. Derek said, Ferdin. Good heavens, where have you been? You were gone so long. I was just about to look for you. Ferdinand said, she's gone. Derek said, she's gone? Ferdinand said, Lady Aaron has disappeared. Eamon, Leon, and Lilia said, what? He said she was just with me earlier. Then she suddenly said she'd go ahead, and vanished without a trace. Leon said, what? What's going on? Eamon said, sounds like someone went missing? Ferdinand said, I searched the whole area, but I couldn't find her. Wake everyone, we need to find Lady Aaron right now. Derek said, Ferdin, calm down. You're too worked up. Calm down? Didn't you hear me? Lady Aaron is missing. He said, I'm right here, Sir Ferdin. He said, Lady Aaron? When did you return? Errol said, I told you I'd go ahead. I came straight back to camp. Ferdinand said, thank goodness. I thought you'd gone off alone again, like last time. Errol replied, don't worry about me. I won't be going anywhere. Eamon said, a fight? Another said, what's going on? Derek said, you heard her, didn't you? She's not going anywhere. If you're done confirming, then let's get inside. Since you're back, we should all rest too. You lot head to bed. Karen, take care of the cleanup. Karen said, yes, understood. Errol thinks in the past too, Sir Ferdin was also worried for me like this. Ferdinand said, no matter what others say, I don't believe you killed Caleb's. You are not the kind of person who would take the life of an innocent. At least, not the Aaron I've seen. If you don't want to talk about what you've been through, that's fine. But if the time ever comes when you're ready, I'll be there to help you. Errol thinks, but I never got to confide in him. By the time I was ready to tell him, he was no longer of this world. She thinks when Raymond said that you'll never be loved your whole life. You can never go back to the way things were. You're a murderer now, she said. I don't care. She thinks even if Sir Ferdin despises me, it's fine. Even if my ruthless sword makes people call me a villainess, it's fine. I'm used to being hated. But if there are those who threaten Sir Ferdin and the knights, I'll gladly be a demon. Karen said, sister. She replied, Karen? Karen said, have you seen Sir Raymond? Karen said, have you seen Sir Raymond? Aaron said, no, I haven't. Karen said, we have to leave soon. Where on earth did he go? His tent was empty, and his horse was gone too. Ferdinand said, what's going on? Sir Raymond has disappeared? Karen replied, yes. I just checked his tent, and both his belongings and his horse are missing. Maybe he went back to Marquis Lerthus's estate ahead of us, Ferdinand said, without the commander's permission? Does that happen often? Karen replied, not really. Karen said, did you hear anything? Like if he had urgent business. Errol replied, I wouldn't know. I barely ever spoke with him. He said, let's just leave. Eamon said, Sir Raymond was a high-ranking knight, wasn't he? Do you really think something happened to a high-ranking knight? There aren't even low-level monsters around here. He thinks honestly, this is better. His behavior, and the way he looked at people always gave me a bad feeling. Even if we set his behavior aside, it's hard to trust people from House Lerthus. The kind of person who could do such things to a noble lady's body would most likely be someone inside, not outside. Except for this one. He's neither capable nor cruel enough. Eamon said, anyway, if his belongings were still here, we might suspect an accident. But since they're gone, then he must have returned to the estate. And wasn't there talk that the meeting place was on a tight schedule? Ferdinand said, it is tight. Once we leave the safe zone, monsters will start appearing. Losing one high-ranking knight is a big loss in strength, but searching for him would also weaken us. Ferdinand said, if you two are okay with it, we should just move on. Are you fine with that? Karen replied, if Sir Ferdin has decided, I will follow. I can't say I'm not worried, but the mission comes first. Errol said, I'm fine as well. Good, then let's depart as planned. Ferdinand shouted, everyone, prepare to move. He replied, yes. Errol thinks I was worried they'd dig deeper, but we got past it safely. Ferdinand said, will you ride beside me today too? Errol said, I was thinking of switching places with Sir Derek. Ferdinand said, ride beside me. It was you, Sir Aaron, who asked me to stay by your side throughout the mission. A long, grueling march followed. Once we left the safe zone, we had to fight monsters big and small. And the closer we got to wolfkin territory, the fewer people we saw. To make things worse, the weather suddenly turned. Ferdinand said, there's an inn ahead. Just hold on a little longer. Even a well-trained knight couldn't help but grow weary. Eamon said, phew. Real food, after 10 days. I'm exhausted. Errol thinks I agree with Sir Eamon. Everyone's exhausted. From tomorrow we'll be in the mountains, and we'll have to leave the horses behind. Will we be alright? I didn't take part in the wolfkin subjugation in the past, so I have no idea what they went through there. What I do know is that Sir Ferdin came back badly wounded, and that those who returned from the campaign avoided speaking of what happened there. Even if I wanted to ask, I couldn't ask those who went through it firsthand. Eamon asked you okay? On the way here, you even sparred with the Philip lot whenever you had time. Errol replied, that? Errol thinks one day 3 boys took the sword and said, he shouted, today, I'll definitely beat you. Eamon said, for someone so strong, your stamina is ironically weak. Be careful with your body. Errol said, are you worried about me right now? I didn't know Sir Eamon had this side to him. Eamon said, don't get used to it. It's rare. People say all sorts of things when they are tired. Errol said, true enough. Anyway, conserve your strength. Once we enter Wolfkin lands, who knows what awaits us? Raymond thinks this mission itself, wasn't it the Emperor's way of tormenting Ferdin? So everything will likely go against our expectations. He's always been given tasks far beyond what he can bear. Errol thinks he's always been given tasks far beyond what he can bear. Errol said, Derek said, what kind of rain is this? I nearly drowned just tending the horses. Raymond said, you alright? Errol said, you've asked me that a lot today. I'll call off the engagement. Derek said, why are you spacing out? Eat up and let's rest too. Hey, Eamon! Living the good life alone, huh? Eamon replied, well, who told you to lose rock, paper, scissors? Karen said, starving. Ferdinand thinks, stop overthinking. Just focus on everyone's safe return. Derek said, Ferdin. Hurry up. Ferdinand said, coming. Now that I think of it, Lilia's not here. Anyone know where she went? She said, who is it? Are you Lilia, Calypso's younger sister? I am a maid working at House Lycerus. I regret to say I came to deliver condolences to you. It's small, but Madame asked me to give this for the funeral. She gave the coin to Lilia and said all of this is, saying it's your fault for not stopping your daughter. Lilia thinks taking a person's life so easily, smiling after killing my brother. Yeah, just laugh all you want for now. She said, and yet you still want revenge against Calypso? I have a way for that. Soon you won't be able to laugh at all. 1 week later. Sarek said we finally arrived at the meeting place. Ferdinand thinks phew, thankfully I wasn't late. Since it was a mountain trek, I had to leave the horses behind. Ferdinand said, Derek, tell everyone to rest until the appointed time. Derek replied, understood. Ferdinand thinks something's wrong. Count Leon hasn't come. Derek said, Ferdinand. He said, Derek. Derek replied, it's long past the appointed time. He's not someone who's ever late. Ferdinand said, looks like Count Leon won't be coming. Ha! A man so principled, who would throw himself into fire at His Majesty's command. Derek replied, coming here was also an imperial order. Ferdinand said, something must have come up. Derek said, yeah right, TCH. So this is how it turns out. What do we do, Ferdinand? Ferdinand said, of course we must return. The wolf tribe is too much for just us. He thinks, I knew you'd say that. Derek said, Ferdinand, I understand your stance, but I object to returning empty-handed. At the very least, we must send out a search party nearby. Since we're already within wolf tribe territory, we must prove we made at least minimal effort to investigate. There could be spies from His Majesty among the knights. Why isn't Count Leon coming? Derek replied, I'm so tired. I just want to sleep like this. Derek said, if we return without doing anything, the consequences will surely fall on you. Ferdinand thinks so. Derek also suspects spies. I understand what Derek means. If we return like this, Father will hold not only me, but even the knights, responsible. Ferdinand said, Derek, send a search party. Derek said, understood. Ferdinand said, however, on one condition. Errol thinks Sir Ferdinand and Sir Derek spoke so softly no one else could hear, but they couldn't escape my keen hearing. The search parties were formed in groups of 4, investigating the wolf tribe territory with safety as the top priority. But when everyone returned, Sir Ferdinand regretted his decision. Ferdinand said, what do you mean by that? That Amen and Lilia were kidnapped? He said we were on our way back from the search when we were suddenly ambushed. Derek said Sir Amen and Lady Lilia told us to run while they blocked them. Errol thinks to the wolf tribe, a mage is a hostage they could never let slip. The wolf tribe has no mages of their own. But why did this happen? It wasn't supposed to. Though injured, Amen and Lilia had safely returned to the academy in the past, without being kidnapped. Did I change too much about the future? Is that why destiny itself has twisted? On top of that, everyone is panicking. Even at their best, their skills aren't enough to face the wolf tribe, and in this state, rescuing hostages is near impossible. One thing is certain, I will be the one to rescue them. But what about Sir Ferdinand? Is it safer to take him along, or to leave him behind? Derek said, what the? Derek thinks, damn it. At that time, a wolf appeared in front of them. Ferdinand said we were on our way back from the search. He thinks they followed us. Ferdinand shouted everyone, prepare defenses. Derek took his sword and said damn it. Errol said things are getting really messed up. Things are getting messy. Errol thinks there are a total of 10 wolfmen. They don't seem particularly strong, but if we fight here, with the wolfmen's excellent hearing, those deeper inside their territory will come for reinforcements. What's more, most of the people are in a state of panic. If we fight, we'll definitely take casualties. At times like this, the best thing to do is run. Ferdinand shouts everyone, fall back. Errol thinks I have to draw their attention so everyone can escape. Errol showed the coin and said hey, over here. Errol ran, pointing to the coin, and all the wolfmen ran after him. Ferdinand said, Sir Aaron? Ferdinand said Derek. Go on ahead. Derek said what? Hey, Ferdinand. Ferdinand ran away. The promise. Keep the promise you made to me. Derek said please take care of the injured. Karen said let me go. I'll bring back my sister and Sir Ferdinand. Ferdinand said treating the injured and protecting the remaining knights comes first. Ferdinand said Derek, let's send a search party, but on one condition. I know that I must survive. If anything happens to me, promise me you'll take responsibility for the safety of those who are left behind. Derek said Ferdinand entrusted the safety of our comrades to me. As long as I've been given this order, I will protect them. You do the same. On the other side, Errol led all the wolves to one side and killed them all with his sword. A wolf said are you even human? Another wolf said he's going to kill me. Errol thinks why isn't he attacking? Sir Ferdinand is, thankfully he doesn't seem to have found me yet, but I won't kill you. I need someone to deliver a message. Errol said I won't kill you. I need someone to deliver a message. The wolf said tell your chieftain that if you so much as touch the humans you've kidnapped, they'd better be prepared for the consequences. One wolf stood up and ran away. Ferdinand thinks footprints. They're heading deeper into the wolfmen's territory. It must be Sir Aaron and the wolfmen. I was never meant to be here. My mother, who was a saintess, was a person who could see a person's future and hear the goddess's voice. My mother, who saw the future within me, said Ferdinand thinks when she said Ferdinand, the lives of many people rest on your shoulders. You must survive. I'm sorry to place this burden on you, but promise me this. Just before she passed away, she broke the saintess's rules to give me a prophecy, that no matter how painful life is, you must survive. Whether I wanted it or not, those words became the rule of my life, and it was one of the reasons I've continued this hellish life until now. The wolfmen are famous for never letting an intruder leave alive. If I were to face a large number of wolfmen with my skills, I might not make it back. I might even be taken hostage and become a burden to the Empire. Nothing will change just because I chase after Sir Aaron, just as my life, which has struggled to escape fate until now, hasn't changed. But the moment I saw Sir Aaron luring the wolfmen away, I had a strange feeling, a feeling that if I don't follow him now, I'll regret it. Mother, please let me find Sir Aaron safely. Errol appeared and said Sir Ferdinand, why are you here? Ferdinand said Dame Aaron. Errol thinks thank goodness you're safe. It seems you managed to escape from the werewolves somehow. Errol said go back. Ferdinand said go back? Where are you trying to go, Dame Aaron? Errol said I have something I must do. Ferdinand said something you must do? Don't tell me. Are you trying to save Lilia and Aaron by yourself? Your silence tells me I've hit the mark. Ferdinand thinks, and it doesn't look like you have any intention of turning back. He said in that case, let's go together. If there is something to be done, we can finish it together before we leave. Don't even think about going alone. Aaron thinks Sir Ferdin doesn't know that I am a sword master. Normally, if a knight entered werewolf territory alone, they would be treated as a madman for such recklessness. I thought Ferdin would also try to persuade me to leave this place at once. My plan was to somehow convince him to turn back and remain here alone, but to think he'd say, together. No, perhaps this is for the best. Although we are in the most dangerous situation, ironically, there is no place safer than by my side, a sword master. Errol said understood. Let's move together. However, there is something I must presume to say. Sir Ferdin, you are His Highness the Second Prince of the Empire. If a truly dangerous situation arises, please allow me to step forward first. Ferdinand replied, understood. Ferdinand thinks of course, I have no intention of putting Dame Erin in front of me, but for some reason, it felt like we couldn't go together unless I gave that answer. She said, shall we get moving then? Once the decision was made, there was no hesitation. There was only one path anyway. The deeper they went into the forest, the closer they got to the werewolf encampment, where Sir Aaron and Lady Lilia were being held captive. Ferdinand said, Dame Erin, let's rest a little. It would be good to replenish our stamina. Here, we should be able to remain hidden from the werewolves. We can take a short break. Dame Erin, why did you come this deep in to save those two? Errol said, I have a debt that I must repay. Ferdinand said, a debt? Errol said, what about you, Sir Ferdin? You could have sent other knights in your stead. Why did you come in person? Ferdinand said, he shouts, Dame Erin? I couldn't just leave them be. Weren't Aaron and Lilia, and of course you, Dame Erin, here because of me? Up until now, many people have sacrificed themselves to protect me. I didn't want to just stand by and watch another sacrifice happen. At the very least, as long as I am in werewolf territory, Lilia and Aaron will not be killed. Even if I am captured in their place, with my status, the werewolves wouldn't dare kill me so easily, would they? Probably. It's very strange. When I look at you, I feel a sense of familiarity. I feel like I've forgotten something. Something very important. Errol thinks no way. Sir Ferdin, did he see my past with his special ability? The fact that Sir Ferdin had a special ability was something I only learned of late, even in my past life. If he saw within me the past lives that I have lived through. If he saw those tragic futures where he dies because of me. Errol thinks, what should I do? A low-grade rabbit-type magical beast. Herbivorous, so it's harmless to humans. Errol said it was a low-grade magical beast. It must not have known we were here because we were hiding our presence from any scouts. Ferdinand said, Dame Erin, are you alright? I think I pushed you a bit roughly. She thinks I don't know exactly when it started. After a monster subjugation, Dame Erin would often gaze at me with such sad eyes. Having been the second prince for a long time, I was used to the gazes of admiration and courtship from people. So I accepted her gaze, as I did all the others. The only thing I was curious about was that her gaze was different from the others. It made me drawn to her. Errol replied, and my apologies, Sir Ferdin. Ferdinand thinks if you were to ask what emotion was in her eyes, I could not put that feeling into words. He said, Dame Erin, why do you wish to break our engagement? He thinks because I could not dare to fathom the emotion within those deep eyes. Errol replied, I do not wish to break my engagement with you. Errol thinks, am I dreaming right now? He don't want to break off our engagement, and he keep calling me, Sir. Swordsmanship students at the academy only become official knights after graduation. Even so, they call each other Sir, as a sign of respect and acknowledgement as future fellow knights. When everyone else despised me, barely even calling me Aaron Lerthus instead of Sir, there was one person, Ferdinand said, since we're both swordsmanship students, isn't it right to call you that? She thinks Sir Ferdin alone recognized me as Sir. So kind, looking at me with the same eyes as in my first life, in the past. Why then? You don't even like me, yet you make me think you might have feelings for me. He thinks, stop right there. Got it. Is that the refugee child captured by the wolfkin tribe? He thinks Eamon say let go of me. Arg. My arm. Now I remember, in my first life, a few years from now in this timeline, the Empire was invaded by the wolfkin tribe, and many Imperials were slaughtered. Back then, the wolfkin tribe was led by a human boy, a mage who could freely wield fire magic. There were rumors that the boy was a refugee captured by the wolfkin tribe years earlier, and it turns out those rumors were true. But something's different from the past. Back then, the boy was blind, but now, this child can see. You dare burn my arm? The wolfman said, I'll take your eyes for that. Even if you can see, all you'll do is run away again. Ferdinand said, Sir Aaron. I'll draw their attention. Take the child and escape. Ferdinand said, Where did you come from? An intruder? Sir Aaron, you have truly impressive skills. Errol replied, Understood. Let's move together. But if I may say something, Sir Ferdin is His Highness, the second Prince of the Empire. If the situation gets really dangerous, let me step forward. Ferdinand said, She's really keeping her words. Errol thinks I didn't use sword aura, but he must have realized my skills are beyond a beginner's. I've been hiding my true strength, keeping the fact that I'm a sword master a secret, because I feared it would make my current life harder to maintain. I had to keep Corellia in check while secretly changing the past, the future. To save Sir Amon and Sir Lilia, I knew I'd have to reveal some of my skills. But now that I have, I'm a bit scared of how Sir Ferdin will react. A few months ago, when Duke Asalai visited the academy for a beast subjugation, Ashel said, I think father would have taken a liking to Sir Aaron. You saw it at the training grounds before coming here, didn't you? How strong she is. Ronald said, Well, she's got some pretty impressive talent. He thinks even someone stingy with praise, like those in the renowned First Knight Order, gave such high praise. Sir Aaron's skills are that impressive? I didn't think much of it at the time. I've never seen Sir Aaron's skills so clearly before. She's definitely been honing her swordsmanship for a long time. But why did she hide her skills until now? Maybe, just like she might have a hidden past, there's a reason she's been hiding her swordsmanship skills. Ferdinand said, For now, we should take the child and move to a safer place before more Wolfkin tribe members arrive. Errol said, Huh? Oh yes, Errol thinks Sir Ferdin. Why isn't he asking me anything? Is he just letting it slide, or did he see something in me through some kind of ability? Ferdinand said, Are you okay? If you're alright, I'd like to check if you're injured. What's that? Fire's coming from the kid's hand. Arg. A monster! Get away! I don't want to burn. They found a human child who can use magic among the refugees. Make sure to beat them into submission so they'll only follow our orders. A mage is a valuable slave to our Wolfkin tribe. Errol said, Sir Ferdin, are you okay? He replied, I'm fine. She thinks the worse the memory, the more exhausting it feels. Ferdinand said the Wolfkin tribe's leader is after this child. They'll never give up on this kid. If the Wolfkin tribe finds out we have the child, they might use it to threaten Sir Amon, Sir Lilia, or the refugees. The best plan is to rescue everyone before they realize we have the child. The problem is, we don't know where the captives are. Errol said, I know where Sir Amon is. Ferdinand said, You do? How? Errol replied, Well, I've been tracking him. His mana, I mean. She thinks when you reach a certain level, I've heard it's possible to locate someone even within a wide range, but only someone special, like a sword master, can do that. This isn't something a mere apprentice could do. No way, has Sir Aaron already reached that level? He said intruders. The monster wolf said the intruders have that child. Get them. Errol went and said, Sir Ferdin, I'll go see Sir Amon. He thinks the werewolves are catching up to us. We must hurry. But Ferdinand said we have to move fast. If we're not careful, they'll end up capturing us. A wolfman said they won't be able to get through anymore. They've been lucky until now, but that's over. They should have known this would happen. Another wolfman said you won't escape. You won't be so lucky next time. I'll finish you off. Errol said, swinging his sword vigorously, I don't think you can. He thinks is it because of the situation. I get the feeling Erin's skills are improving. No, that's not it. She's just revealing the abilities she had kept hidden. Everyone has a past, and it's up to each person to decide whether to reveal it or not, whether to trust the people around them, to show resolve. Sir Aaron isn't trying to harm me. I know for sure that she's trying to protect me, and I don't intend to doubt her heart or her intentions. It's just, I hope she can tell me someday. Maybe she thinks I'm not worthy of knowing. Errol said, Sir Ferdin. He thinks there's another revelation now. She's never expressed herself so continuously before. What am I looking at right now? That person is the Marchioness Riser. Why is the Marchioness, Sir Errol said I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please stop. I was wrong. When Corellia said a lady must always, no matter the situation, maintain good posture and a dignified expression. Do you understand? Good, now you're finally putting on a useful face, even though you're so stupid and pathetic. Errol thinks the place has changed. Errol said no one can notice. I am a noble lady, and it's rude to show discomfort in front of others, so I must endure it. I'm not hurt. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. No, it hurts. It hurts so much I don't know how much longer I can bear it. Trying to make sure no one notices is so hard. I guess I have a weak will. Errol sat on the ground and thinks it's something I've never experienced before. The necklace, did it want to show me all this? What kind of place is this? That person, is that M? Errol said, how am I supposed to endure this, Calypso? I feel so sad that you're no longer in this world. Ferdinand thinks the rumors that always surrounded Sir Aaron were lies. The eldest daughter of a marquis, a great villain who gave herself to evil and extravagance, the assassin who killed Liliane's older brother. If those rumors were true, then that means all those ridiculous things were just lies. I think I understand now why Sir Aaron never mentioned something like this. The necklace my mother gave me. Just now, what was that? Ferdinand thinks now, what situation is this? Why am I there? Is that really me? What is he saying? I can't hear clearly. Aaron, misfortune. Please. Ferdinand saw the dreaming Aaron kill him with her sword. He said, in dreaming don't forget. A voice called Lord Ferdinand. Lord Ferdinand. Aaron said, Lord Ferdinand, are you alright? Ferdinand replied, yes, I'm fine. He thinks it seems I was so rattled that I returned to reality. He clenched his head and cleared his throat. Aaron said, does your head hurt? Don't push yourself. Please lie down a little longer. It's true that the situation is urgent, but we have enough time to catch our breath. Ferdinand shouts, Lady Aaron. He thinks for a moment. I didn't know what to say. I saw your past with my ability. I wanted to comfort her, saying that I couldn't possibly imagine how difficult and painful those events must have been for her. But my voice wouldn't come out. Awkward pity only makes the other person feel wretched, and underdeveloped empathy makes them push you away. The moment I mention her past, I will give her yet another wound. There must be a reason why Lady Aaron hasn't revealed the whole truth. Ferdinand said, it's nothing. Let's go now. He thinks again, I have to wait until she tells me herself. He said, thank you. Please, her. He definitely mentioned Lady Aaron. What on earth was that? Aaron said, Lord Ferdinand, I know I'm being reckless. I have many secrets, and I'd understand if you suspected me of ill will. But my desire to save everyone is sincere. Please trust me for now. Ferdinand said, I trust you. Aaron said, excuse me? I said, I trust Lady Aaron. Ferdinand said, don't worry about me, just do what you need to do. I will help you, Lady Aaron. Aaron thinks at that time, Marquis Rithers. A woman said you called for me? Charlotte, Cornelia's personal maid, said, Madam. Cornelia said, has there been any word from Raymond? Charlotte said, nothing since the letter saying he was leaving to subdue the wolf beast tribe. Surely not. Are you worried that Raymond might fail? Cornelia thinks of this past. She said, I had a dream. Aaron Rithers, that wench, appeared in it. When Aaron said to him, aren't you jealous? My talent. Cornelia said, you can never have it, right? I don't need to worry about a dream. Raymond must have dealt with Aaron by now. Even if Raymond fails, the second prince's subdual squad must have arrived in the wolf beast tribe territory by now, so the result will be the same. If Sword Master Count Leon had joined the second prince's subdual squad, the situation would have been different, but his Knights Templar couldn't join because the ship was cut off by a sudden downpour, and the second prince's subdual squad will wait for aid that will never arrive, and eventually be discovered by the wolf beast tribe and suffer a great catastrophe, won't they? Even Aaron won't be able to leave there in one piece. Charlotte said, and that's not all. She thinks of the past when she said it's a small token, but my lady asked me to deliver it to help with the funeral expenses. She said all of this is your fault for not being able to stop your daughter. Do you want revenge on Calypso that badly? I have a way, but, Charlotte said, in case of an emergency. Haven't we prepared a backup plan? The second prince and his reserve knights are naive guys full of a sense of justice. Lilia is also a person consumed by a sense of justice. Clearly, according to our plan, she won't stand by and let a murderer who killed her own brother get away. On another side, Derek said, damn it. To make the bars out of mana control stones. Lilia, is it really impossible to use magic? Lilia said, how many times do I have to say it's impossible? It's not called mana control stone for nothing. Lilia said, if you're near a control stone, whether you're a swordsman or a mage, your mana is suppressed, so you can't use magic. To undo it, you need a sixth-circle mage or a sword master. Lilia said honestly, either you nor I are that level. Derek said, you're hitting me with the facts at a time like this. I'm feeling down on myself. I wish I had practiced my sword skills more, like my life depended on it. Ferdinand didn't run away, did he? Knowing his personality, he'll try to come here. Lilia thinks, I guess so. Ferdinand has always put us first before himself. Lilia said, let's trust Derek. If it were him, he would never let Ferdinand come. Derek said, oh, you're right. He's usually so nagging and annoying, but he's useful in times like this. Ferdinando said if Derek heard that, he'd be hurt. Lilia shouts, Ferdinand. Ferdinando said, I'm relieved that you two are safe. Derek shouts, you, how did you get here? There were wolfkins everywhere outside. Ferdinando said, yeah, there were a lot of them. Aaron replied, Sir Ferdin, we don't have much time. Ferdin replied, right, of course. Step back a bit. Derek said, what are you planning? She thinks that's some intense energy. Derek shouts, no way. You're going to break the bars? Stop it! These are mana suppression stones. Only a sword master could break them. Aaron said, we need to get out now. She thinks, what in the world? I thought something was off when I saw the dead guard at the prison entrance. This is beyond just off. Derek said, I knew it. I knew you were hiding more power. Ferdin said, Amon, do you know where the refugees are being held? They weren't in the prison. Derek said, they were locked up with me, but the wolfkins took them somewhere else. Ferdin said, we need to rescue them fast. Where could they have been taken? Aaron said, let's move first. The wolfkins are probably closing in. Derek said, Lilia, let's go. Lilia said, what's wrong? Can't keep up? No matter how I think about it, something's strange. Lilia said, why doesn't anyone question Aaron Rither's power? Isn't it weird that a freshman in the swordsmanship department has this kind of strength? Ferdin said, Lilia, Aaron thinks of the past. It was just a few gold coins. That's what my brother's life was worth. Some might say that's a lot for a commoner's life, but I'd rather have my brother back than that measly money. A maid said, Calypso. He was tormented by her until the very end. But he said he couldn't quit. Our parents died early, so he had to work for his younger sibling, to endure until his body was in that state. It must have been so painful. Lilia, I heard you have a talent for magic. Nurture that talent. He said if you do, you can achieve anything. You could become a great mage, or earn gold coins that a commoner could never touch in a lifetime. Even take revenge for your brother. Lilia said, why did you do it? Why? What did that kind man do to deserve this? And yet you're a sword master? That talent, said to be bestowed only on those chosen by the gods, how are you worthy of it? Lilia said, I'm living in hell every single day. Derek said, it's unfair. You took everything from me. How could this happen? Amon, take care of the kid for a bit. Ferdin said, Lilia, you've been through so much. I'm sorry I didn't notice sooner. Lilia, look at Sir Aaron. She came here alone to save you and Amon. I'm not saying you should forgive her. I'm just asking you to think about it once. Whether she really killed Calypso. Lilia said, she thinks the spear. Am I going to die like this? I don't get it. If I die, it'd be easier for you, so why are you trying to stop it? Aaron shouts, Sir Lilia. Dodge. Aaron thinks it's like you don't want me to die. Lilia attacks Ferdin and wounds him. A monster said, such a pity. I could have taken care of both of them. Aaron thinks in my first life, there was a time when Lilia came to see me. Back then, everything, my dreams, my hopes, had all crumbled, and I was struggling to keep going. Meanwhile, Lady Lilia had made a name for herself as the youngest Fifth Circle mage, standing before a brilliant future. Lilia clenched her neck and shouted, I thought dozens of times about, how should I kill you? Aaron, crying, thinks, the truth is, I'd been waiting for her. Not long before that, Sir Ferdin had died, and I'd completely lost my will to live. But Sir Ferdin once told me to live happily, and those words lingered like a spell, keeping me from ending my life even when I was hanging by a thread. And that's when Lady Lilia came. Aaron fell on the ground and coughed. Aaron thinks after that day, Lady Lilia left and never returned. The next day, I heard the news. The youngest Fifth Circle mage, once renowned across the continent, had taken her own life. Ferdin, stay with me. Derek shouts, don't lose consciousness. Lilia replied, keep applying pressure to the wound. Aaron sees them and thinks, calm down. Sir Ferdin isn't dead. Thanks to the child's mana surge, the spear slowed just enough to avoid a fatal hit. And with Lady Lilia healing him now, Sir Ferdin will survive. So don't get too worked up. A monster came and said, what a shame. I could have sent a bit more power through it. The monster attacked Aaron and the fight began. Aaron thinks I could have sent a bit more power through it. I try not to leave his side, hoping to prevent that same injury from happening again. But in the end, he still got hurt. I wonder if Lady Lilia felt the same way back then. She dedicated her entire life to mastering magic for Calips's revenge, and yet, she never managed to see it through. Maybe in that moment, she realized what I'm feeling now, that even if she died, Calips would never come back, and that revenge itself was meaningless. Aaron killed all the monsters and thinks her situation and mine may have been different, but she was living through the same hell that I am. She said, why can't you just leave me alone? Why do you make me so angry? She thinks this hellish despair, where nothing can be changed. 3 more monsters attacked from behind. One of them said, move. She thinks, that energy coming from the orb. She thinks it's incredible. Did that orb amplify his power? With strength like that, it's almost at sword master level. No, not. Almost. It is a sword master level power. She clenched her sword and fought him, striking his chest and wounding him. Another monster said no, not. Almost. It is a sword master level power, and ran away. Aaron thinks this isn't a normal battle. A monster thinks it's a fight between superhumans, but it's worrying. Aaron's current stamina doesn't match her skill level. That's why even during sparring, we always considered her stamina when facing her. A monster attacked Aaron. Derek shouted, Aaron. The monster grabbed her stomach, and she gripped her sword tightly and struck toward its chest. Aaron thrust the sword into the monster's chest with force, and blood came out of the monster's mouth as he fell to the ground and began to writhe. Derek said she's crazy. Lilia said she's out of her mind. Why would she go so far as to sacrifice herself like that? Aaron opened her eyes and said, Lady Lilia, please, heal Sir Ferdin instead of me. Lilia said, what are you saying? Ferdin's already stabilized by my magic. Lilia thinks I don't get it. The Aaron Lerthus I know is a selfish brat who throws tantrums when things don't go her way. But what I just saw from her, Aaron said, Lady Lilia. Watch out. Lilia thinks no, don't be fooled. Aaron Lerthus killed my brother. Even that side of her must have been part of her calculation. Lilia recalls Ferdin's words. And Lady Aaron entered this place alone, to save you and Aman, at the risk of her own life. I'm not saying you should forgive her. What I'm asking is just think about it once, whether she really was the one who killed Calips. Lilia thinks the black orb the Wolfkin's chief had. Charlotte said, do you really want revenge for Calips that badly? I can give you a way. You'll have a chance to get your revenge on Aaron Lerthus during this subjugation. An arm injury is fatal for a swordsman, isn't it? If you succeed in your revenge, I'll give you this mana stone. It'll make your power stronger. But how did the tribe's chief get hold of that orb? Derek said, Lilia, Aaron lost consciousness. Aaron replied, calm down. It's because her stamina ran out. Lilia thinks honestly. I don't even know what's true anymore. But what I need to do right now is to heal Aaron Lerthus. All of them ran toward Derek, said Amon. He replied, what? Why are you guys here? Derek said, we left a few people with the wounded and brought everyone who could move. Ferdin, are you hurt? Amon replied, don't worry. Lilia already healed him. Derek said, where did you find the refugees? Amon replied, we found them while tracking Ferdin's traces. Some members of the wolfkins were taking the refugees away. It's a relief they're safe. Thankfully, it was a number we could handle, so we rescued them safely. Derek said, what about you two? Are you both alright? Amon replied, it's a long story. For now, let's head back. At that time in the house Lerthus, Corellia said, Charlotte, you really are wicked, aren't you? Giving even this to the wolfkin's chief. Charlotte said, I just wanted to make sure everything went according to plan. You wished to harm Aaron Lerthus and the second prince, didn't you? Then nothing's as reliable as a black mana stone. Handmaiden of Corellia, the dark sorceress, black mana stone, a special mana stone forged through black magic. At first glance, it looks like a normal mana stone, but it grants knights and mages rapid growth and power simply by possessing it. However, this mana stone has a fatal side effect, severe addiction and eventual loss of control. Those exposed to the stone for too long slowly lose their sanity, and eventually go berserk, becoming creatures similar to monsters. There is a suppressant that can prevent this state, but it must be taken regularly for the effect to last. Charlotte said if the second prince found out that Count Leon wasn't coming, he would surely back down. So I used the orb as leverage and made a little move. The wolfkin's chief wanted more power anyway. Well, even if the chief ends up dying because of it, that's just the price for his greed, isn't it? Corellia said power always comes with responsibility. What about the little mage Ferdin had with him? Has she completely joined our side? Charlotte said we haven't received an answer yet, but she's practically on our side now. Those people are simple-minded, after all. All I had to do was stir up their thirst for revenge, and they moved just as we wanted. Corellia replied, is that so? By the way, has there been any word from Raymond yet? Charlotte said not yet. It seems he couldn't make it out of the subjugation force. What's the matter? A message from the subjugation unit, sent by the second prince himself? Corellia took the letter and read it. Charlotte said, what does it say? You look troubled. Corellia replied, it says Raymond deserted from the subjugation unit. He vanished halfway through, and they're asking if he might have returned to the Marquis estate. Charlotte, shocked, said, what? Raymond disappeared? Corellia said, it seems our plan has gone off track. Once one thing goes wrong, everything else tends to follow. I wonder what else has gone astray. First Prince, Dietrian Rexia, a village inn. Aaron thinks, a ceiling I don't recognize. I made it out safely. Is this the lodging attached to a tavern? Aaron said, Sir Ferdin? She thinks, why is Sir Ferdin here? She said, can't move my hand in case Ferdin wakes up. Lilia entered and said, oh? You're awake? If you didn't wake up today, I was going to try something else. Aaron said, Lady Lilia. She replied, Sir Ferdin, wake up. Ferdin cleared his throat. She said, your fiancé has woken up, so it's time for you to get up too. Ferdin said, Sir Aaron? She replied, yes, Sir Ferdin. He hugged her and said, thank goodness, truly, thank goodness. You wouldn't wake up no matter how long I waited. I was really worried. Aaron said, Sir Ferdin? Lady Lilia is watching, you know. Ferdin said, Lilia, you were here. Lilia replied, I've been here for a while, but fine, I'll let it go. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your reunion, but I need to speak with her alone for a bit. Ferdin said, wait, Lilia. I have something to say to Sir Aaron. Ferdin said, Sir Aaron. When we're back at the academy, could you spare me some time? There's something I really want to tell you. Aaron replied, something you want to tell me. She thinks, is he going to question who I really am? No matter how generous he is, he can't just ignore that I've been hiding my powers. Aaron said, understood, Sir Ferdin. He replied, very well. I'll be waiting then. I'll leave you two to talk. Aaron thinks, I've set up a soundproof barrier. Lilia said, Lady Lurthus. She thinks Aaron Lurthus? Not Aaron, but Lady Lurthus? Aaron replied, Yes, Lady Lilia. Lilia said, I saw your scars. When I was treating you in the lands of the wolfkins, I thought it was strange. Through your clothes, I could see old scars now and then. Aaron lay on the bed and said, Everyone, leave. I'll help her change. Lilia said, What? Why are you holding me back? I said, Leave so I can change her clothes. At first, I didn't understand why they stopped me. But when I helped you change, I understood why both Ferdin and Amon tried to stop me. She thinks Sir Amon I can understand, but Sir Ferdin too? How? Lilia said, It seems the two of them are keeping your secret for you. If you're okay with it, I'd like you to tell me about yourself. About my brother. She thinks the truth. Whenever I told the truth, most people criticized me in their own way. And if you believed me, only to end up dead, just because they knew the truth. Tell her everything. If we tell her the truth, we can send her to her brother too. I'm still scared. Terrified. Even after 2 lifetimes, losing people still hurts. Lilia said, I know I'm in no position to ask you this, but please. I need to know how my brother died. I want to know who killed him. I want to know the truth. Aaron thinks normally, I wouldn't tell anyone about my past, but Lilia deserves to know the truth. Aaron said, It'll be a long, boring story. Aaron said, A very boring one. Aaron thinks I told Lilia everything except that I've lived 3 lives. The story of Aaron Lurthus, not the Villainess, but the pitiful, timid daughter of a marquis. Lilia said, How could that happen? To my brother. Aaron said, Do you believe me? Lilia said, Do you trust me? Do you remember the black orb that the Wolfkin's chief had? The one that amplified power? Yes, I remember. Charlotte offered to give me one of those orbs too. Honestly, when she said you killed my brother, I didn't doubt it for a second. After all, why would someone like her lie to a nobody like me? She had no reason to deceive me. But after hearing your story, I think I understand now why she lied. Deceiving me wasn't her goal. Aaron Lurthus, you were her true target from the very beginning. Lilia said, All the things I've done to you, even if I had 10 mouths, I wouldn't have any other excuse. I was so blinded by anger that I never even thought to question Charlotte's words. Like an idiot, I'm really sorry. Aaron said, Lady Lilia, why are you doing this? You don't have to, huh? Why are you? Lilia said, why did you suddenly move like that? I'm just completely drained of energy. I'm not a saintess, so recovery magic alone won't easily restore your stamina. But it's still better than nothing. Please don't blame yourself too much. Aaron said that's their specialty, tricking and deceiving people with every trick in the book. Lilia replied, Aren't you angry? They fooled everyone in the Empire, including me. They spread vicious rumors about you and completely destroyed your reputation. And on top of that, they used me too. Aaron said, I am angry. She's furious. Aaron said, Now I feel like I'm finally starting to understand you a little. You always look expressionless, so I could never tell what you were thinking. But now I see, you were hiding your feelings on purpose. Lilia said, By the way, what are you planning to do from now on? There is still something I don't understand. Why they went so far as to try to win me over just to target you, and what exactly are they scheming behind the scenes that made them use you as a shield by spreading those evil rumors? Lilia said, And that black mana stone they offered me too. It looked like an ordinary mana stone at first glance, but it wasn't. It was definitely a mana stone made using forbidden black magic. How on earth did Charlotte have something like that? She thinks I'm just as curious. Normally, all regular mana stones are managed by the Imperial family, and you can only possess one with His Majesty the Emperor's permission. Thanks to that strict control, the Imperial authority has been able to stay strong even in a world dominated by sword masters and mages. That was one of the reasons the Imperial power could remain stable. A mere maid possessing a mana stone that can't be obtained without the Emperor's permission. This is something I didn't know even in my first life. Why are Charlotte and Corellia doing this to me? If their goal is Sir Ferdin, they don't need me at all. I've never once treated them badly. So what exactly did I do wrong for them to try to drag me down into hell like this? A question that has remained unanswered since my first life. I can just find out now. Things might get busy soon. Lilia said this conversation went on too long. You need to rest, so I'll get going. Don't see me out. Aaron said, what will you do from now on, Lady Lilia? She replied me. Once I'm officially back, I'm planning to return to the magic tower. Aaron said, the magic tower? Lilia said, yeah. Charlotte still doesn't know that I've learned the truth. As long as I continue to stay in the academy, she'll keep on approaching me to win me over. But the magic tower is completely off limits to outsiders. I'm going to leave without giving them any answer at all. After all the effort they put into seducing their prey, and then the prey just jumps off a cliff, let's see them try to figure this one out. She thinks, I knew it, but you really don't let things go easily, do you? Aaron said, still, once they realize I'm perfectly fine, they'll probably guess something's up, right? Lilia said, then I'll just send a letter. Or let them guess. Either way, I only need to keep them confused until everything gets under control. That's beside the point. Aaron said, why are you looking at me like that? Lilia thinks, how did this child become a sword master? Even if it runs in the family, you can't reach sword master without proper sword training. The fact that she deliberately didn't finish that sentence means there's definitely a deeper story. I'm not suspicious. I'm just genuinely curious. Do I even have the right to ask her about her deeper circumstances? Aaron said, Lady Lilia, there's something I've wanted to say for a very long time. I'm sorry I couldn't protect Callops. He really, Lilia said, Lady Aaron, would you like some tea? Aaron said, Callops, you sit too. Let's drink together. Lilia said that wouldn't be proper. Aaron said, it's fine, it's just for a moment. No one's coming to this room anyway. Hee, you really are impossible to stop. Aaron said, Callops was a wonderful person and a good friend. Lilia thinks of when Corellia said all of this. It's your fault for not stopping your brother. Aaron said, Callops was a wonderful person and a good friend. Lilia, I heard you have talent in magic. Nurture that talent. Then you can have anything you want. You could become a great mage, or earn more gold than a commoner could make in a lifetime. Even avenge your brother. Lilia thinks, how dare they frame Aaron and try to manipulate me as they please? Those two bitches. I'll never let them get away with this. 1 week later, the subjugation squad that had left to exterminate the beastmen and rescue refugees finally returned to the academy. They had successfully completed the mission, but there was still work left, dealing with the rescued refugees, writing the subjugation report, and so on. That's why Ferdin received the message about a visitor only after a delay. A man said for someone so busy with official duties to visit this humble place. What brings you here? Principal of Aten's Academy. Do I look like someone who needs to report my purpose to you? And no, Your Grace. I overstepped. If I must say, I came to deliver something personally. A woman said, hey, you there. How dare you enter the women's dormitory without the dorm's supervisor's permission? Aaron said, phew, finally back. It's noisy outside. He said, I told you it was urgent. How dare a mere maid talk back to me? The woman replied, I am not a maid. Aaron listens and thinks, why is there a man's voice in the women's dormitory? The man said to the young lady of House Lerthus. Aaron said, phew, finally back. She thinks so much happened. We couldn't avoid Sir Ferdin from getting hurt, but we still rescued the refugees and everyone made it back safely. And it seems Lady Lilia won't be making the wrong choices anymore, and for some reason, my relationship with her seems a bit better too. Aaron said Callops was an excellent man, and a good friend. Lilia said, cool, let me, too. Aaron replied, pardon? Lilia said, let me call you by your name too. Aaron said, yes. Aaron, please call me by my name. Lilia replied, then I'm going. Aaron thinks, is that really improved? Well, since she said she'll call me by my name, it feels like things worked out somehow. Still, this is a big change. Things I could never dream of in my first life. Aaron said, it's noisy outside. She thinks this person, a knight of the first prince, Daitrian. Was his name Rowan? Rowan said, it's been a while. I came to deliver an urgent message. Aaron said, an urgent message? Rowan replied yes. By order of His Highness Daitrian, this is an urgent message from Lady Corellia. Rowan gave the letter. She read it, to my dear Aaron. Aaron, it's been a while. I received word asking whether Raymond has arrived at the Marquise, but it seems he hasn't arrived yet. It makes no sense that Raymond would leave the subjugation force on his own, so I wonder if something has happened. Prince Ferdin's victory banquet will be held soon, so I plan to visit the academy both to see you and to check on Raymond. Oh, and His Highness Daitrian said he would leave earlier, so he might arrive at the academy before I do. With love, Corellia. She thinks what a joke. There's only one reason my stepmother would send something so trivial as an urgent message. Something she often did whenever I did something wrong. Rather than informing me of her upcoming visit, she wants to imagine me trembling in fear after receiving her message and laugh. That's definitely her goal this time too. I can tell without even seeing her. But why did she send this letter through the first prince? Don't tell me she met the first prince? It wouldn't be strange for the two to know each other. My stepmother dominated the Lexia Empire's social circles, and being related to His Majesty alone gave her considerable power. On top of that, since I was young, she often entered the imperial palace to educate the princes who would be future emperors, so it was natural she was close to them. Still, even so, having the first prince deliver her message feels a bit excessive. Wait, did she just crumple up the letter and toss it? No matter what, that Aaron Lerthus, would she really crumple and throw away the Marchioness's letter? It's hard to believe she's the same timid young lady I once saw. Aaron, said Sir Rowan. He said, yes. Lady Aaron? She thinks, Lady Aaron? Aaron, said Sir Rowan. He replied, yes, Lady Aaron. She said again, Sir Rowan. He said, please speak, Lady Aaron. Aaron said again, Sir Rowan. He shouted, why do you keep calling me without stating your business? How rude. She said, the rude one is you, Sir Rowan. Aaron asked here, before I am the daughter of House Lerthus, I am a swordsmanship student. Yet you, a knight, make a basic mistake with a formal address? Rowan said, no matter what, this is unacceptable. An aura entered the room and someone cleared their throat. Aaron turned her head and thinks this is not good. Rowan said, this low-born thing. How dare she laugh? Aaron thinks, what is that aura? It doesn't feel like mere pressure, it's something strange. It reminds me of that aura, she said, Sir Rowan. He shouts, what is it now? Don't flare your aura at a civilian. Step outside. I'll face you instead. Aaron thinks I picked up the trash, the urgent message I threw away. Rowan is someone who will lose his knighthood in the future. In the future, meaning the past, there was a time when the first prince picked a fight with Sir Ferdin and challenged him to a duel. Their knights, Sir Amon and Rowan, fought in their stead, and of course Sir Amon won. Rowan said, to think I lost to someone like you. I can't accept this. Give it back. But Sir Rowan couldn't accept his defeat and drew a real sword. In the end, he wounded Sir Amon's shoulder. Aaron thinks because of that incident, Rowan was stripped of his knighthood. Naturally, he embarrassed the first prince and was abandoned by him as well. Rowan said, how long does it take to bring a wooden sword? Aaron said, why yes, I'm coming. The first prince is Sir Ferdin's half-brother, but their personalities are completely different. Aaron said here, duels must follow academy rules and use wooden swords. Because he was close with my stepmother, the first prince often visited the Marquise. And he, to me, Prince Daitrian came in and said I was wondering why it took so long. You were doing this nonsense here. She said, Prince Daitrian, the first prince of the Lexia Empire, Daitrian, a man who is the most likely candidate for the next emperor, and Sir Ferdin's lifelong rival. Daitrian said, I apologize for Sir Rowan's rudeness. It was just a simple task of delivering a letter, so I didn't expect him to pull a stunt like this. We really haven't seen each other in a long time, have we, Lady Aaron? Or no, should I call you, sir, now? A boy saw him and said, oh my goodness, it's His Royal Highness the First Prince. A girl replied, I never expected to see him at the academy. He has as good a reputation as Sir Ferdin. Aaron said, but I heard he did something amazing with Ferdin during the wolfkin subjugation. Dietrian said, though I don't know what kind of help you, a girl who only just picked up a sword, could have been. I know his true nature. Aaron said, thank you for the compliment, Your Royal Highness. I got lucky. Dietrian thinks, did she just dodge that? Your luck was far too good. An unknown sword master kept appearing to resolve the situation. But don't you think that's a little bit strange? That they keep appearing every time Ferdin is in danger. It's as if an ordinary lady who had never swung a sword in front of my eyes has now shown a miracle, developing calluses on her hands. Dietrian said, and making it into the top 5 of the beginner class. I disliked him in my first life. Aaron thinks of when Corellia said, Aaron, come over and greet him. This is the person who will become the next emperor. At first, I thought he was like the prince from a fairy tale, beautiful and sharp. I even envied his dignified appearance, comparing it to my own shabby self. She thinks he shines so brightly. The moment he caught me during my punishment time, the dream was shattered. Aaron said, Prince, please help me, a book was just a book. Aaron thinks the prince I thought came out of a fairy tale was a monster in human skin, a man who mocked a young girl's desperate plea for help, and I could never forget the words he spoke then, even until the moment I died. Aaron said, my place in the upper ranks of the swordsmanship department is not luck, Your Royal Highness. It's skill. Rowan said, how rude. He shouts, what are you doing to His Highness? Lady Aaron. She thinks the girl who couldn't even look me in the eye before now looks at me with such insolent eyes? Dietrian said, this is truly interesting. Rowan said, why, Your Highness? You find this interesting? Dietrian said, yes. The rumor that you've changed must be true. This is quite amusing. Would you be able to show me that skill? Aaron replied, unfortunately, I have a prior engagement. Dietrian said, a prior engagement? With you? With whom? Aaron said, I have one with Sir Ferdin. Dietrian said, what? Ferdin? That's disappointing. Dietrian said, we've known each other since childhood, you know. I thought I was closer to you than Ferdin. Aaron said, what do you want? Dietrian said, don't go see Ferdin, and do the task I gave to you. Show me your swordsmanship, Aaron Lerthus. This is not a request. It is a command. At that moment, Central Hall Conference Room, the atmosphere is strange. I can't pinpoint exactly where, but overall, it feels calmer and more solemn. Especially Lilia, she looks more relaxed after her conversation with Aaron. She doesn't usually drink tea even when offered. And Lady Asalai, She's reading a book to the refugee child rescued from the wolfkin. The child has no family and is temporarily residing at the academy. On the other hand, Sir Karen, he has been like that ever since he learned Aaron Lerthus was hurt. I am so worried, it's as if he's unstable, fearing that if he were separated from Aaron Lerthus, she would somehow die. I have to go back. I have to go to my sister quickly. Karen said, here, eat. I shall feed you. Karen said, I'll help you, so eat. What do you think you're doing in that state? Asterisk witnessed this while visiting her in the hospital. When I saw Karen like that, I completely lost control of my expression. Well, I'm in no position to talk. Derek shouts Ferdin. He thinks I was also out of my mind, just like Karen back then. Ferdin said, you said a sword master appeared and helped you during this subjugation as well, didn't you? That too, the same person, not just once, but twice, that's right. Derek said, Ferdin. He cleared his throat. Derek said, be honest with me. You know that sword master, don't you? Derek said, I just cannot shake this thought. First the raid a few months ago, and now the wolfkin subjugation. The sword master always seems to appear precisely when you are in danger. Once might be dismissed as a coincidence, but twice? That is no accident. Furthermore, the wolfkin chief was slain while you were unconscious. Derek said, and you claimed that you, Amon and Lilia, regrouped with Ferdin at that exact moment, only for the sword master to vanish during that brief window. Ferdin said, that is the account you gave me, is it not? Derek said, it is. He thinks, what is this? The atmosphere feels peculiar. They are acting as if they are hiding a secret specifically from me, Karen said the identity of the sword master, the cause of the chieftain's death, such things are of no consequence. The only thing that matters is that my sister and Sir Ferdin are alive. Derek said, not important? I need to understand the situation properly to report to His Majesty and formulate a response. Karen said, I do not know exactly what transpired there, but I do know the situation was critical enough that injuries were unavoidable. Is the sword master's identity more important to you than everyone's lives, Sir Derek? He said, that isn't what I meant. I'm just saying, she thinks, why is it only me you're keeping in the dark? Am I that untrustworthy? It seems Karen is out of the loop too, but still. Karen said, it is not that I lack curiosity, but I do not mind if you choose to remain silent. If Sir Ferdin has chosen not to speak, surely he has his reasons. Ferdin said, thank you for your understanding, Sir Karen. He thinks, Sir Karen seems to know absolutely nothing about Sir Aaron. I could reveal what I know, but Karen said that is simply how I feel. Derek said, when you put it like that, I look like the villain. Ferdin thinks, that is not what she would want. He replied, fine. I will not press the matter further. Not until you are ready to speak. Derek said, you are asking me to simply trust you for the time being, correct? Derek said, however, I must submit a report to His Majesty, so we need to get our stories straight. Agreed. Thank you, Derek. Lady Asalai, I have something to discuss with you. She replied, yes. Derek said, let us end the contract. Asalai asked, to bring that up in this setting, Ferdin said, means you truly intend to finish it. She thinks our contractual relationship. Ferdin said, you hated it as well, did you not? You need not force yourself to endure this any longer simply due to your feelings regarding my father. Lady Asalai replied, apologies, but could everyone give us the room? I have something to discuss with Ferdin alone. Derek said, yes, I understand. Asalai said, it was merely a formality from the start. A contract that became irrelevant once you were engaged. To bring it up the moment you return from the subjugation, you must have a substantial reason. And I suspect that reason is Sir Aaron. You saw something, as well, did you not? In Sir Aaron. Ferdin said, what do you mean, as well? Did you witness something in Sir Aaron too, Lady Asalai? She replied, you see, I saw a vision of my own death. I was fleeing desperately from monsters in the forest. In the end, I was caught by the monsters and was killed. That was the fate originally ordained for me. Ever since the Holy Kingdom became a vassal of the Empire, Lady Asalai, the first saintess ever born to the Empire, the moment she was chosen by the goddess, she lost her own name, and came to be called only by her family name, or simply, the saintess. A saintess is expected to dream of the future or receive premonitions, to literally commune with God and receive divine oracles. However, the lady had never once heard the voice of God. She was, quite literally, a half-saintess, and she knew exactly why. It was due to the atrocities committed by the current emperor of the Lexia Empire, Sergi Alexia. He trampled the Holy Kingdom, reducing it to a mere vassal state. As if that were not enough, he took the previous saintess as a concubine. He drove the citizens of the Holy Kingdom into the barren western lands, a territory teeming with monsters, and left them there to slowly perish. He was a man who felt no hesitation in killing for his own amusement, but regrettably, the masses remain ignorant of his true nature. The young daughter of House Lurthus harms a servant. Marquis Lurthus triumphs again, holding back the monsters at the front. The Marquis's daughter commits another act of depravity, for he buried his own crimes beneath sensational rumors. This was the truth that Lady Asalai discovered only after she became the saintess. Asalai thinks it is strange. Whenever the emperor committed an act of cruelty, a major scandal would erupt. Could it be? Of course, this might be a premature assumption, but yet, that does not make his crimes against the people of the Holy Kingdom any less real. I will ensure he pays the price for his sins. That must be the reason holy power manifested in me, a daughter of the Lexia Empire. From that moment on, Lady Asalai did everything within her power. Entering a contractual relationship with Ferdin to support his cause was one such measure. Asalai said, for the longest time, I prayed desperately to the goddess. I begged her to let me hear her voice, even if only once. But never once did she answer my prayers. And yet, that voice, which had remained silent for over a decade, finally spoke to me a few months ago. A few months ago, during the monster subjugation mission. Greetings, Lady Lerthis. We have crossed paths a few times, but this is our first proper meeting. Aaron said, "It is an honor to meet you, Lady Asalai. Do not stop her." Lilia said, "That is the oracle I received." Ferdin said, "Do not stop her. What does that mean?" Amon shouts, "Ferdin, we have a crisis." Dietrian said, "I just heard from the guards. The first prince has arrived at the academy." Ferdin said, "Dietrian?" Amon said, "And worse, the first prince has ordered that bastard Rowan to duel Aaron. Another day." Dietrian said, "The condition to get out of here is simple. If you duel Sir Rowan and win, I'll allow you to go to Ferdin." Aaron thinks the first prince's intention is obvious. Amon said, "Isn't Sir Rowan one of His Highness the First Prince's chief knights?" She said, "How could an academy student possibly defeat someone like that? What if you get seriously injured?" Aaron thinks the intention is to humiliate me in front of many people. That aside, the First Prince has hidden his knights all around. The number is around 15. Dietrian said, "Is it because I'm engaged to Ferdin? Your attitude and even your gaze have become very similar to that guy's. How about it? No thoughts of breaking off your engagement with Ferdin and coming to me? If things go well, I might even make you an empress." She thinks, of course, words he doesn't mean at all. "But Aaron Reese, I know that you're so starved for affection you can't even defy my words. You'd probably be at a loss after hearing my proposal, to the point you'd find it hard to even dare meet my eyes because you'd consider my interest an honor. Now answer me. Say that you want me." Aaron said, "Prince Dietrian, even if I were to break off my engagement with Ferdin, I would not come to your highness." A man said, "I didn't hear." "What did Aaron Reese say?" Rowan said, "Haha, that even if you break off the engagement, you won't come to me." Dietrian said, "What can you even do from now on? Do you think anything will change just because you're engaged to Ferdin? Ferdin would probably find his engagement to you horrifying instead. That engagement only lowered Ferdin's value. Aaron thinks he's too close, just step back a little." Dietrian covered her mouth and said, "If you want to dodge, try it. Let's see how that comes back to you. You just need to do as I say. Corellia taught you that way. Surely you haven't forgotten?" Aaron thinks there are many eyes watching. "I need to smooth this over properly. If I provoke the first prince any further, the damage will go to Sir Ferdin." So Amon said, "Let go of her hand." Aaron thinks if it were an ordinary person, before even grabbing this hand, their head would have been taken by the hidden knights. No, originally. With filthy blood mixed in, you shouldn't even be able to lay a hand on my body. Thanks to my father who values legitimacy, publicly declared as the son of my mother, the Empress, Ferdin Lexia became my younger brother, a mongrel like a worm. Your lifeline is quite persistent. As Sir Ferdin. Aaron said, "How did you get here?" Ferdin said, "It's been a while." Dietrian said, "Did you only just receive the report that I'm at the academy?" Amon thinks I didn't notice the knight approaching at all. Ferdin said, "Do you have some business with Aaron Reese?" Dietrian said, "As a prince of this empire, I wanted to personally see the abilities of an outstanding academy student." Ferdin replied, "Aaron Reese already has a prior appointment with me." Dietrian replied, "Is that so? And then?" Ferdin said, "I'll go." Aaron said, "Sir Ferdin." Derek said, "Shall we stop them?" Dietrian said, "No. Unfortunately, with this recent Inrang tribe subjugation, Ferdin's standing has grown again." An academy student said, "Wow, Sir Ferdin is amazing." Dietrian said, "I don't like it, but I'll have to end my venting of anger here." A man handed something and said, "Yes, shall we make a bet, Ferdin?" Dietrian said, "Between the two of us, who will claim Aaron Reese?" Dietrian said, "Between the two of us, who will end up claiming Aaron Lerthis?" These days, there's been a lot of talk about how you cherish Aaron Lerthis. Have you perhaps fallen in love, Ferdin? Ferdin said, "You know it yourself." Dietrian said, "When you start to treasure something, and what the result was." "No way, you didn't forget, did you?" Aaron thinks, why is the first prince acting like that since earlier? Whenever we ran into each other at the Marquis' estate, he treated me like a bug. Why is he so desperate to mess with me today? Ferdin said, Sir Aaron is not a toy. Do not insult her. And if you lay a hand on her, I will not hold back either. Deitrian said, fine, do your best. I wasn't interested at first, but I've changed my mind. He thinks she's completely different compared to the last time I saw her. Could it be that Aaron Lerthus was chosen by the sword? If that's the case, I can understand why Father tried to keep the Marquis Lerthus in check, why he went so far to find those chosen by the sword, and break their talent and kill them. Deitrian said, this will be interesting from now on. Ferdin thinks, it's fine. Sir Aaron is a sword master. Deitrian said, I wasn't interested at first, but I've changed my mind. Ferdin thinks even if Deitrian tries to oppress Sir Aaron, he wouldn't dare face a sword master. But what if they attack Sir Aaron together? If the two sword masters under Father join forces, then Sir Aaron. Aaron said, yes, Sir Ferdin. Are you okay? Ferdin cleared his throat and said, I'm sorry. We agreed to meet today, but I didn't mean to drag you here like this. Aaron said, it's all right. I didn't even notice Amon slipped away. I should apologize later. Aaron said, Sir Amon? He replied, I'll take my leave now. Ferdin said, I held your hand tightly. Does it hurt? Aaron said, you know how strong I am. Ferdin asked, really? Derek said, oh my, look over there. It's His Highness Ferdin and Sir Aaron. Aaron said, if you're talking about His Highness Deitrian, I really don't mind at all, and you don't have to try to protect me when there are many people around. If it reaches the Saintess's ears, she'll be bothered by it too. Ferdin replied, Lady Asalai? Why bring her up all of a sudden? Don't tell me. No, it's not. Aaron said, why yes? Ferdin said, I have no relationship with her. No relationship at all. Aaron replied, yes. Ferdin said, Lady Asalai and I are not lovers. Due to certain circumstances, we were in a contract relationship. But that has ended as well. Aaron thinks Sir Ferdin has no relationship with Lady Asalai. Why is my heart racing? Even if the two of them have no relationship, there's no place for me in Sir Ferdin's future. So don't be greedy. Be satisfied with this much. Ferdin said, Sir Aaron, I know you are hiding something from me. I also have secrets. One of them is my relationship with Deitrian. Aaron replied, haven't you seen what the relationship between Deitrian and me is like? You must have your reasons for wanting to hide the fact that you're a sword master, reasons I wouldn't dare try to understand. Ferdin said, still, there is one thing I know for sure. That contrary to the rumors, you are kinder than anyone. So please take it back, your words about breaking off our engagement. I thought this was fine as it was. Sir Ferdin is an incredibly kind person, and I believe that the person who stood beside him should be someone bright and gentle. But when he takes my hand, and looks at me with such tender eyes, I can't refuse. Ferdin said, I am sorry, Sir Aaron. I think I pushed my own thoughts on you. I never imagined you'd be so troubled that you'd cry. Aaron replied, it's not that. I'm just happy, because I've loved you from a very distant past all the way to the present. Ferdin said, there are too many eyes on us here. Ferdin thinks I can't let others see Sir Aaron crying. Please lean on my shoulder. Aaron thinks, too many eyes, Sir Ferdin, do you truly believe that I'm not a bad person? Everyone believes I'm wicked. If you maintain your engagement with someone like me, surrounded by vile rumors, you will surely be harmed. Ferdin said, Sir Aaron, not for a single moment have I ever thought of you as a bad person. Your very existence is a blessing to me, never a burden. I will prove your innocence. And if you are considering breaking the engagement for that reason, then all the more, please withdraw that thought. All right. Aaron said, I'll do as you wish, Sir Ferdin. Ferdin said, thank you, Sir Aaron. Aaron thinks Sir Ferdin said he wanted to prove my innocence, but it will take a long time. It was the same in the past. Back then, too, he tried just as hard to prove my innocence. He uncovered what my stepmother had done to me, and even discovered that there was someone backing her. But in the end, he never revealed who that person was. Aaron thinks there's a high chance the same thing will happen again. but I won't let it turn out the same as before. That same evening, my eyes are all swollen, aren't they? To think I was with Sir Ferdin looking like this, how embarrassing. Sir Aaron's swollen eyes, they were cute. At the same time, in a top-floor room inside the academy, Dietrian said, I truly don't understand. What use is a knight who can't even deliver a single letter properly? Rowan said, KGH. I'm sorry, Your Highness. Dietrian said, sorry? Things that are no longer useful should be disposed of. Rowan said, I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. Please spare my life, Prince Dietrian. Dietrian said, fine. If you want to live that badly, I'll give you a chance. Bring me a lock of Aaron Lertha's hair. Rowan said, her hair? Dietrian said, yes. You may also leave a large scar on her face. In fact, the uglier, the better. If you don't want to do it, you can tell me anytime. There are plenty of low-ranking knights who would love to take your position as a senior knight. Rowan thinks, truly a vile hobby. Issuing such an order while knowing full well that Aaron Lerthas, the fiancé, will attend the second prince's subjugation celebration banquet in just a few days. The hair is obviously just an excuse. The real goal must be disfiguring her face. Wait, is it really just an excuse? If the hair were the goal, there'd be no need to touch her face at all. I could just secretly cut her hair and leave. Then no one would know I attacked her, and I could preserve my knightly honor. But if it isn't an excuse, Knight said someone this clueless and stupid isn't needed. Dispose of him. Please spare me, Your Highness. Rowan thinks, damn it, I don't know anymore. This isn't the time to worry about honor. I have to do both. Don't resent me too much, Aaron Lerthas. My life is on the line here. What? She's gone? Where on earth did she go? He said, were you looking for me? Entering someone else's room at such a late hour, and without permission at that, isn't that rude, Sir Rowan? Rowan thinks, damn it, when did she get behind me? He said, the reason I'm here is, His Highness Dietrian sent me with a message. Aaron said, Sir Rowan, you seem to have forgotten. You're holding a dagger. I saw you draw it. Besides, if you mention the first prince in this situation, isn't that the same as admitting he ordered you to attack me? Rowan said, damn it. Since it's come to this, I'll go all out. Aaron thinks there's no helping it now that I've been caught. Even if I can't scar her, I have to at least cut off a lock of her hair. That's the only way I'll be able to save my skin. Rowan clenched his sword and attacked her, but Aaron pushed him back and he fell to the ground. Rowan cleared his throat. Aaron said, you even came armed with a sword. Were you planning to kill me if things went south? Rowan replied, damn it. How on earth did you know I was approaching? How could a beginner-class student possibly sense my presence? Aaron said, are you interrogating me right now? The one who should be interrogated is you, Sir Rowan, for sneaking into my room like a creep. Rowan replied, ow. That really hurts. Rowan thinks, damn it. How did I end up in such a ridiculous state? I haven't been humiliated like this since I became a senior knight. I never should have accepted that thing back then. My life has been a mess ever since that day. I thought it was my only chance to become stronger, to become a senior knight with the Black Mana Stone and join the First Knight Order, a chance to live in splendor and gain immense fame. Dietrian said, what's the point of getting stronger with a Mana Stone, if you're just going to be disposed of when you're no longer useful? I don't know what's so special about this suppressant that everyone begs for just one pill before they die. If they don't want to be disposed of, they should just do their jobs properly. Isn't that right, Sir Rowan? That was the price for coveting power. As much as the Black Mana Stone elevated a knight's abilities, it also destabilized the mana within their body. Thus, they had to take suppressants regularly to prevent a mana overload. Ferdin said, Your Highness, the First Prince, it is time for your audience. Dietrian said, already? I'm not in the mood to hear my father prattle on with the nobles today. The problem was, to get one, you had to successfully carry out the First Prince's orders. Only then could one receive that day's dose of the suppressant, which only he possessed. Rowan thinks if I failed this mission, it's over for me. I already failed to get today's dose because of what happened earlier. I don't want to end up like that. If I can't escape punishment, I at least want to die as a human. Rowan froze. Aaron said, Sir Rowan? Aaron thinks Sir Rowan also used a black mana stone, just like the wolfkin chief. Rowan said, Aaron Lerthus, my mana is starting to go berserk, get out of here. I'm about to lose my mind and become a monster. Get out of here, now! He thinks, when did she get so close? Aaron pushed back and said, no, don't come any closer. Rowan said, this power. Aaron thinks, he looks relieved. He's the type who usually frowns the moment he sees me. What's he up to? What could be so important that he'd call me here this early in the morning? Dietrian said, don't look at me like that. I only called you for a cup of tea. It's not so bad to see each other like this once in a while, is it? Besides, if I'm with you, I might get to see your fiancée. Ferdin said, don't tell me, did you do something to her? If you did. Dietrian said, of course not. Who would dare harm the daughter of Marquis Lerthus? Ferdin said, if that's not it, then he thinks annoyingly sharp, but today, I welcome that sharpness of yours. Soon, someone will bring you a message, and your face will be painted with despair when you see it. As long as Rowan doesn't want to die, he can't possibly disobey my orders. Aaron said, Sir Ferdin. He replied, Sir Aaron. Ferdin said, how did you know I was here? Aaron said, I went to your office, and Sir Derek told me. The reason I came looking for you, Sir Ferdin, is that I just suddenly felt like seeing you. Dietrian thinks, why? Why is she completely unharmed? Don't tell me, did he go berserk before he could do anything? Dietrian said, find out where Rowan is. There's a high chance he went berserk, so at least find a trace. He said, yes, Your Highness. Aaron thinks you seem really anxious to know why I'm perfectly fine. Sorry, but I can hear everything. But Dietrian, you won't be able to find even a trace of Sir Rowan. And I learned many things from him. Rowan said, ha ha ha. Only a sword master can stop a mana overload. You did a fine job hiding that power. His words were true. The one chosen by the sword wasn't Karen Lerthus, but you, Aaron Lerthus. Aaron said, he? Who are you referring to? Was it Dietrian? The one who gave you the black mana stone? There's no use playing dumb. I know because I fought the wolfkin chief. Rowan said, so even the great sword master can get impatient. But you're wrong. The first prince, no, Dietrian wasn't the one who gave me the mana stone. It was the emperor. Rowan said the emperor used to gossip about the nobles to his puppets quite often. That's how I found out about you. The duke said the nobility are a bunch of fools, especially those who live by the sword. Should I tell you an interesting story? Everyone believes that Karen Lerthus was the one chosen by the Marquis' sword, but the truth is different. The one the sword actually chose was Aaron Lerthus. Rowan thinks that fragile-looking young lady? The duke said, do you think that's all? I even suppressed that girl's talent myself. In the end, a budding sword master is nothing before a cane. Aaron thinks Cain suppressed my talent. Did I hear that correctly? Why would His Majesty say such a thing? How did he know I was the one chosen by the sword? And no one knows about the abuse except for me and my stepmother. No way could the person behind her be the Emperor. Rowan said it's the Emperor who's nothing. The brilliant talent of a sword master bloomed despite the Emperor's interference. He wouldn't have imagined it in his wildest dreams, that there was someone with such a pure and clear energy born as a sword master in this empire. Rowan thinks, I envy such talent. Aaron said, Sir Rowan, let me give you more energy. Rowan replied, my mana core is completely shattered. You already know that. I will soon turn to ash and vanish like smoke. I don't have much time, so I'll be brief. Aaron Lerthus, no, Master Aaron. There is still something I haven't told you. Aaron thinks, Sir Rowan died in the end. Just as he said, he turned into smoke. And the reason I came to see Sir Ferdin today was because I was worried Dietrian might have sent a knight to Sir Ferdin as well. Fortunately, he seems fine. Sir Ferdin seems to know nothing about the Emperor's schemes. That's why he could never uncover the truth in the past. It would be hard to imagine the truth involved someone higher than him, let alone that the Emperor himself committed such acts, because he's his father. Aaron said, Sir Ferdin, are you finished with your business here? Ferdin replied, what? Oh yes. I'm all done. Ferdin thinks this is the first time she has reached for my hand. Aaron said, then let's go. Yes. She thinks I want Sir Ferdin to know the truth, yet I'm afraid of what will happen when he finds out. Because in the end, Sir Ferdin will be the one getting hurt. Daitrian said, this is unbelievable. How dare they ignore me and just walk away? Anyone would think they're the only two people left in the world. He thinks, but why is Aaron Lerthus perfectly fine? Aaron thinks Rowan was a high-ranking knight. Even if he didn't go berserk, he's not someone a beginner could handle, unless they were a sword master, right? The sword master who was said to be active in that subjugation. Could that person be inside this academy? A knight said, Your Highness, a servant from the Marquis Lerthus has come with news. They say the Marchioness Lerthus has just arrived at the academy. Aaron said, I'm sorry for dragging you out like this. Ferdin said, dragging me out? Not at all. I'm actually grateful you took me with you. Truthfully, I wanted to get away. Aaron said, I'm glad to hear that then. Aaron thinks, he doesn't look very happy. Gloomy? Sad? I can't tell. Ferdin said, Sir Aaron, would you like to visit the temple for the first time in a while? Aaron replied, Pardon? The temple? Aaron thinks, it's been a long time since I've been here. The Emperor built a small temple within the academy for Lady Asalai, who became the Empire's first saintess. It was to show off that the Empire had not been abandoned by the gods. Asalai said, Oh my, Ferdin, Sir Aaron. A child said, Your Highness, Second Prince. You're here. Ferdin said, Hello, good morning. Did you sleep well? The child replied, Yes. What about you, Your Highness? He thinks, they seem very close. They've gotten quite friendly while I was away. The child looks bright and healthy. When I first saw him, he looked so exhausted. Asalai said, Sir Aaron. Aaron replied, It's been a while, my lady. Asalai said, It's been a while for me too, Sir Aaron. But are you allowed to be out of the infirmary already? Yes, I'm not fully recovered yet, but I thought I'd be fine to move around, so I've been out since yesterday. Aaron replied, I see, Asalai said, Is that so? Aaron replied, Yes, that's right. Aaron thinks, Why is it? I feel like there's a thorn in her voice. Asalai said, But why did you come here today? Aaron said, what? Didn't you promise to come see me first once you were out of bed? Aaron said, No, well, that is,